Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Outs here, and it's Sunday, and we're doing a Sunday special report. And today I'm doing a report on Clipped, the TV series by FX and ESPN that I binge watched yesterday for 6 hours, Saturday afternoon, watching the show, the whole complete show yesterday. I think it was very good. I think that it was better than Winning Time, and I have reasons for why. I came away from it with more respect for Doc Rivers, like a lot more respect for Doc Rivers as a person. We crack on him on this channel. We say different things about Doc Rivers, but in some ways, I saw sides of and things about Doc Rivers in that clip series that made me really respect him a lot. Like one of the things I really liked about the clip series is that they really tied in the main theme of racism and racism in the United States and different, huge events that happened dealing with race. I mean, the fact that they went back and tied in Doc Rivers Clippers player career time when he played for Donald Sterling during the LA riots was really amazing, honestly. And the Elgin Baylor stuff in that series is just top notch, played by Clifton Davis, who was on Amen and all kinds of great shows and movies over the years. Great to see him in that position playing Elgin Baylor, and him getting the last word at the end of the series is really poetic because in some ways, the Clippers and suffering under Donald Sterling as the owner, Elgin Baylor was the one who had to suffer the most. But man, I'm talking about Clip today. Obviously, we're going to talk about Young Christian a bit here today also. But yeah, it's the Sunday special report. We're talking Clip this morning, and I'm going to go pretty extensively through it in some ways. I think that Lawrence Fishburne is an amazing actor. The fact that he studied Doc Rivers' mannerisms and the way he carries himself and even his speech patterns was really, really, really good. At some point, you know it's Lawrence Fishburne, right? You can see it, but you start to believe he's really Doc Rivers, and that's the telltale sign of a really good actor, that they can let you forget that that's Lawrence Fishburne playing Doc Rivers, and then you actually start feeling like, yeah, that's really Doc Rivers. So amazing performance, seriously, and I thought that it was so well done. I thought that Winning Time messed itself up by trying to be goofy and funny at the same time while trying to also tell the story and also sometimes trying to play a serious tone to try and get across serious things. That doesn't work. You can't do that. You're going in too many directions when you do that. If you want to make it a fun Farrelly Brothers kind of comedy, well, just go in that direction. It's just make it non-serious. But the way Winning Time was failed. And in some ways, Laker fans love it just because it's a Lakers show and stuff like that. But it was kind of a garbage show, to be honest. And I'm not surprised that they did cancel it. Now, the dichotomy between Winning Time and Clipped is very interesting because you've got the legend of Jerry West getting absolutely shat on like crazy in the Winning Time show. Rest in peace, Jerry. And then Elgin Baylor also. These guys are contemporaries. These guys are best friends. These are guys who fought on the Lakers team to get them the championship against the Celtics, and they weren't successful but once in the whole years of them playing for the Lakers. So it's kind of interesting, both these Laker legends, the way they got treated separately in different separate things. Like Elgin really, listen, the thing is Elgin Baylor in some ways could be called one of the biggest losers in the history of the NBA, especially as a GM, especially as all the things that happened. But Clip was a vehicle to get the word out there that it wasn't his fault. It was Donald Sterling being a cheap ass, cheapen everything, just like he did with the buildings that he owned around LA. Cheapen people and their buildings, not fixing toilets, and also cheapen the Clippers on their GM ability to sign names and get big names. And Elgin says at one point in the movie, I wanted to sign so many different people over the years, and he never let me. Will anybody tell the truth about that? And in some ways, that's vindication for Elgin Baylor, even after he passed. So I did love that side of it. I loved how they really stacked the history of it all. And there were so many different little side subplots in the story, whether it's talking about V, Striviana, whether it's talking about the wife, Rochelle, whether it's like even getting to know Donald Sterling more and finding that out. I thought it was a very curious choice to cast Ed O'Neill as Donald Sterling, but it worked. In some ways, man, this is the problem. Ed O'Neill is a very likable person. He's been on many TV shows, Married with Children. He's Al Bundy, and you like him. You have an instant like for him. So in some ways, that's a tricky thing, the casting of him as Donald Sterling, because when you come in watching a clip, you're expecting to really hate Donald Sterling. But because it's Ed O'Neill, and it's because of the way he carries himself, and also I guess this is a very fair portrayal of who Donald Sterling is in this clip series. Like, I believe this is based on true events. I believe that most of what happened in this clip series is absolutely authentic. Like, even down to the exchanges, like the fight between the Warriors and the Clippers in the hallway between Chris Paul, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry. That's all documented and real shit. So when you hear Ed O'Neill playing Donald Sterling, and you see kind of a more humanistic side to Donald Sterling in it. So it was very interesting. In some ways, I thought it was just going to be this psychopath, this crazy, crazy person. But in some ways, they showed the other side of Donald Sterling. Even though he was crazy, even though he's racist, even though he's all this stuff, they gave a humanistic side to him. And I thought that it was partly because they cast Ed O'Neill as him. And Ed O'Neill just has such a case already coming into the project of being a likable person. So it's very, very interesting, that casting. And you know what? I came out of this series not having more respect for Donald Sterling, but a little bit more like, okay, this is a more well-rounded picture of who this man is and who he is. I mean, they're disgusting people. There's no way to get around it. The Sterlings are disgusting people, both of them, the wife too. And I love the comeuppance for the wife by the end of it also. But this is the thing. It's a raw story of reality from the real world. And in some ways, the loser still is V. Striviano. And the winners are still the Sterlings, because they sell their team to Steve Ballmer for $2 billion. And they ride off in the sunset with a bunch of money. In fact, to this day, the Sterlings are alive and still married, which is absolutely crazy to me, because Donald Sterling's wife probably should have left him way, way long time ago, but she never did. And in some ways, that's the ultimate kind of gold digging kind of attitude right there. Oh, I can't leave my meal ticket and take off on him, and I'll look past every single indiscrepancy with his philandering. Now, this is the crazy thing, that you totally just assume that woman was having sex with Donald Sterling, but it is revealed in the clip show that she was not at any point. She was just really truly his assistant, and was helping him in all kinds of different ways. Sure, it was gross. Sure, some of it was like kind of like she's walking around in skimpy stuff and he's making little comments, but they actually never really did have sex, which is very interesting in the whole story of the whole thing too. But yeah, there's a lot of messages in this series. There's a lot of messages about the persistence of racism in our culture in America, and the problems with it, and how progress comes and changes things. There's a message about seeking fame in very cheap ways and trying to get out there and put your name out in really cheap ways about the V and what that will get you. Because in some ways, the story there is the vindictiveness of Rochelle Sterling taking the house away from her afterwards. But then Donald's coming around saying, I wanted a place for those boys to live, and I was thinking about her humanitarian wise. So there's a lot of different sides to the players involved in this whole saga that are revealed through the clip show. And I thought it was brilliantly made. If I had a couple of gripes, I had problems with the jump scenes where they would show all the clips of, like, they'd show different modern day things that were going on, or social media things as changing in between scenes. Those were kind of annoying and kind of loaded and kind of weird and overdone. And then the LeVar Burton stuff was very strange, very, 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 very strange to me. I had Adriana look up whether LeVar Burton was best friends with Doc Rivers, and if those scenes were true, because in some ways I like the idea of this whole series being absolutely factual and based on real events, like they said. But sadly, they are not good friends, and that the scenes with LeVar Burton were kind of weird. But I understand why they did it. It really is the tie-in of LeVar Burton's role as Kunta Kinte in Roots to tie in the whole story and the whole premise and the whole tied up in a nice bow about a statement on racism and a statement on being a black man in the United States and having to put up with shit and have different faces. The rage of Doc Rivers on the down low about racist stuff and not being able to fully ever like express it. LeVar Burton talking about his feelings about being that harmless black guy from Reading Rainbow, and then like having his chain from Roots up over his Emmys in his house and talking about how that was a really nice bow to tie it on top. Because I was like, why is fucking LeVar Burton in this movie? And what is he doing? He's playing himself. Well, apparently he's best friends with Lawrence Fishburne. And in some ways they were playing off of that instead. And then also, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is that they signed LeVar Burton to this project, maybe thinking that he could play one of the people, like the real people, just like Lawrence Fishburne playing Doc Rivers, but no role really actually like fit him. So they said, you know what, you just play yourself, and we're going to make this part of the statement about racism and race because of your body of work as an actor. But it was a little awkward, the LeVar Burton parts. They seemed a little forced, and but they really hit home by the end and tied it up when he talks about at the end with Doc about his history in television and his different roles as Geordie LaForge and Reading Rainbow and Kunta Kinte. So yeah, really, really interesting. It's really deep. In some ways, I feel like I might need to watch it again to really catch every little thing, because the writers did a really, really good job. The adaptation about this whole thing, and I kept forgetting this shit happened over 10 years ago. You get older, you think everything happened just like a couple days ago. But no, this is very old news now, the Donald Sterling exile from the NBA. But it's very, very interesting to see all this. It's not flattering to the NBA owners. It's not flattering in a lot of ways. It's very real. And in some ways, this is part of the reason why people want me to watch this, is because they talk about the facade the NBA is as far as trying to control things in certain ways. And also they talk about the owners and how scumbaggish they are. It really does put the owners in a bad light in a lot of ways. And that's very interesting. In fact, the guy who played Chris Paul was really, really good. And I have more respect for Chris Paul because of this movie also, the way he carried himself as the leader of the Clippers that year and the things that he said. And they even say afterwards that when they were playing the Thunder, that series, that they knew they got railroaded by the NBA because they wanted this controversy to go away. And that's crazy. In some ways, ESPN made a series that actually points out the NBA is fixed and that they manipulate things with the referees to force outcomes, because that's plainly said in this series that they didn't want us to continue in the playoffs because of the Donald Sterling saga, and they wanted it to just go away. So they helped the Thunder beat them to put them out with the referees. They even said that very clearly and plainly in it. So referee manipulation was bona fide and shown that this is true, that this happens in the NBA through the Clip series. Some people have said, why did they let them make this? Because it really did kind of pull the veil away and see the real pure truth of the structure and the economic system of the NBA. Yeah, very, very interesting. If y'all have seen it, I'd love to hear y'all's opinions on it. I'm going to go in on more of it because it's very interesting how they portrayed the different Clippers players and their roles in that whole chemistry of that team at that time. And it's really, man, it's such a fascinating series. I really do highly recommend it. From me, if I'm giving it a star rating, I'm saying it's a 4 out of 5 star series. And I gave Winning Time like a 2 out of 5 or a 3 out of 5. So this is a really good series. But yeah, I'll go on more about the Clip series as I remember more from it. And also, if you guys have any things you want to say about it because you've watched it yourselves, please add in also if I missed something. All right, let's see. Trevor J is here first, the Commissioner of Fun. Good morning, family. Sometimes you have to accept the fact that certain things will never go back to the way they used to be. Well, it shouldn't be that way, because in some ways, progress and future is always coming. And in some ways, yeah, it's comfortable and it's nice and it feels good sometimes to have those comforts of the past and the feelings, but time moves on. And unfortunately, we have to be not stubborn to not move with it. We have to go with it. And unless you fight against it and you want the things from the past that you'll never get, the more you'll suffer. So in some ways, it is good to be light and keep moving in some ways with the progress of time. and not holding on in some ways where you're really being detrimental to yourself. So if you have angst, if you have sadness, you got to find a healthy outlet for it to let go of the thing that you miss so much. And that's the thing right there. Nako's here. Nako, I think, was the person who recommended me to watch Clipped in the originally why. And I'm glad I circled around and finally watched it. It was a great recommendation. Gerald, I really appreciate you recommending me watch it. Let's see what he's saying. He's saying, I smell a rant brewing. He's probably talking about Koloko. Well, guys, you're going to be surprised about what I say about Koloko today. You guys are going to be very surprised. You can see I'm not that angry. Clipped is a pretty solid show. I totally agree, Gerald. Very solid series. Absolutely worth watching. And Lawrence Fishburne, you're amazing, man. I just got to say this. Lawrence Fishburne is one of the greatest actors of his generation. He's underrated. Sure, they talk a lot about Morgan Freeman, and they kind of get them confused all the time. But Lawrence Fishburne, he has some gems, and this one is one of them. I'm telling you, he did such a good Doc Rivers. Such a good Doc Rivers. Holy crap, he did good. And once again, I have way more respect for Doc Rivers after seeing what he went through with Donald Sterling his whole entire career. I really, really do. I really do. Trevor's saying, also he's saying it's well acted and well paced across the board. Yeah, there were no tongue-in-cheek little smarty ass kind of comedy parts that kind of cheapen it, which was really good. They kept the seriousness, the brevity of the thing the whole time. And in some ways, sure, they were a little kitschy with the interlaced social media interludes between scenes. But overall, this was dealt with very seriously and very well, honestly. This is a huge topic that is very difficult to tackle in the right way. And I feel like they did a good job. There's a lot of deep messages in it. And there's a lot of lessons in it. And in some ways, it's also a frustration and it's a portrayal of like, well, as far as we get with racism, how far have we really gotten? And how much is the system, institutionalized racism, still just intact at this point in our lives right now, even, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, it's an amazing show. I really, really liked it, Gerald. I really did. It's a little better than Winning Time. I say it's a lot better. Honestly, Winning Time was corny. Winning Time, I did not get the suspension of disbelief to think that this is actually what happened with the Lakers. In some ways, I'm old enough to remember what happened around those times with the Lakers, and that making it so cornball-ish, you know, kind of making cartoonish characters out of Jerry West and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was just not right. It just was not right. And in some ways, as much as Lakers legends reject it, people like Magic Johnson are like kind of like, yeah, I don't get behind this. Well, I'm with them. Younger fans that weren't there or do not understand what the Showtime Laker era was really like, well, you go ahead and just watch Winning Time and think that that's what it is. But that's the problem with doing these kind of things, is that young people afterwards will think this is the way it was when it's really not a good descriptor, or it's not a documentary. Let's just put it that way. It's a fun little project some Lakers people made that really isn't that serious. And I wouldn't take it seriously if I was most people. And Jerry West, well, rest in peace. It's sad that he had to see a debacle, a stupid ass show like that, depicting him like that before he died. And in some ways, shame on the Winning Time people for painting Jerry West that way. It was not totally fair. Sure, he was very passionate, and he really did give a shit about the Lakers winning a lot. And maybe he was a really crazy yelling kind of guy, but y'all didn't need to do him like that, is what I would say. Right. Well, what was the point of doing that? Seriously, what was the point of doing that? Yeah, he's also saying it takes itself more seriously. Yeah, I think that was a big difference and why I like it better. Trevor's saying, I guess Doug Smith was right about Christian Koloko not coming back to us. You know what? He's right about him not coming back, but he was so wrong in all of the other things, saying that he had been out for 2 years and saying that he didn't know whether or not he was going to be cleared or not. Now, this is the thing. The Lakers are kind of doing a flyer on him. He has not been officially cleared by the fitness to play panel, and that's a gamble right there. It could very well be the Lakers are jumping the gun, and he may not totally get cleared yet. And they've signed him now. I'm going to say this right now. I feel sorry for Christian. I'm mad at him. I feel like he is kind of like a turncoat. I feel like a lot of people feeling betrayed, like people are saying here, is that they're feeling betrayed. I feel it too. But in some ways, I'm also so be it. And in some ways, we also have to understand that Christian Koloko is a second-round pick. He's not played for over a year, and he's really got a lot to prove. And honestly, he needs a lot more weight on him. All the issues that happened to Victor Wembanyama are going to happen to him. And in some ways, look, he's not going to come and save the Lakers. It's kind of pathetic, actually. The Lakers' biggest free agency acquisition or biggest move this summer is Koloko now. And half the Lakers fans don't even know who he is. Half of them are dissing him already. Like, Christian, you got to understand, Toronto Raptors fan nation is different than Laker nation. And now you're going to be under a microscope of toxicness, and they're probably going to say a lot of fucked up things about you going forward. They already have, honestly. I've gone and looked at some of the comment sections about him signing with them yesterday, and Lakers nation's already out of pocket with him. Some of them are saying, yeah, oh, this is the one that moves the needle. Then they're saying stuff like, who the hell is this guy? What the fuck is this? Why don't we use Jackson Hayes and Christian Wood instead of him? So the Lakers nation is just clueless. And in some ways, Christian's going to get the confusion and the weirdness that he deserves for deciding to go to La La Land like this. Once again, I predicted this maybe even a year ago. I said on a stream a year ago, you can go find it. If Christian Koloko ends up on the Lakers after all this medical shit, some bullshit happened. I'm going to say that right now. Well, the bullshit has happened. And in some ways, Lex called this a mile away. And in some ways, I'm not upset about it. I'm not happy that this happened. But in some ways, I'm not upset about it because I understood this could happen. I understood that this kind of bullshit could happen when Rich Paul and Clutch are involved. And in some ways, it's just like, whatever. Christian, you made your choice. And in some ways, you fucked up, is what I'm going to say right now. That environment's going to be horrible for you. You don't have a real coach now. And that is a sinking ship. You get ready to just run around with Bron and Bronny. In some ways, I have no idea how things are going to go for you there. In some ways, I will say this. I will say basically good luck with your health. And I'm glad that maybe you're going to get to play, but there's no guarantees. He still hasn't been cleared. But I guess if the Lakers are going to sign him, they must know something right. Now, I would say this. Bobby Masai maybe understood a lot of this. That maybe the risk of him having to be excluded from the NBA again because of his blood clots is kind of high. And then they're like, man, we can't have this. We've already had this bullshit with Jonte this year. And he's already been a problem, Koloko, sitting out and we just paying him and stuff like that. It may have been very calculated even that they did this waiving of him to let him go because they're like, you know what? We don't care. Maybe there's a lot of different other things factored in it because we don't totally understand from behind the scenes with Christian Koloko. Either way, we're good. In some ways, I would say this. If we're going to have Koloko or Fernando, I'd rather have Fernando because Fernando's got more meat on his bones. Fernando's got more time on an NBA court. Fernando's a more proven NBA center. And I feel like I'm going to get full Bruno on this because Bruno is our guy now, and it's not Koloko. And in some ways, that's an upgrade. Seriously, that is an upgrade. Having Bruno Fernando instead of Christian Koloko on this team is an upgrade. And don't even get me started on the potential of Ulrich Shamshe coming up underneath also. So, yeah, Koloko, you made your choice. And sadly, I think you made the wrong one. And you're going to suffer for this, partly because it's the Lakers. It's a toxic pit of hell. And you go ahead and believe you're getting a God's gift for going to the Lakers to get to play next to LeBron. That is a big deal. And you'll have to be able to say that for the rest of your life. Oh, I got to play with the great LeBron. But at what cost, Christian? Your own career? For your own career, seriously, there's no guarantees things are going to go right for you there. And I hope your health is not the thing that messes you up. But, yeah, there's other things that can mess you up, especially when you're in the Lakers organization. So, yeah, okay, Christian, you made your choice. And, well, as much as I'm disappointed in it, you know what? In some ways, you go on then. And in some ways, you listen. Don't expect Toronto to be as warm towards you going forward. In fact, a lot of the Raptors fans are already out there saying, yeah, you turned your back on us, and that's that. Well, so be it. That's it. I'm not going to go off on him. I'm not going to cuss at him. I'm not going to do anything in anger right now. I'm going to say you made your choice. In some ways, you're dead to us. And, well, you're just going to have to go and do your career now and see what happens. You trusted in Rich Paul? Well, if your name's not LeBron James, you may be in trouble. How about that? How about that? Yeah, I won't say Doug Smith was right because he still said Christian 2 years ago bullshit, and he was wrong when he said that. His timeline is wrong. Doug, he got waived January 24th of this year. So, yeah, you're wrong, Doug. That's not he has not been off the Raptors for 2 years sitting on the bench. No, he's only been off all of last year. He played his rookie year. Oh, my gosh. Cowboy's here. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Dap to you, Cowboy. Good to see you tapping in on a Sunday morning for the Sunday report. Trevor saying Koloko's on a two-way deal with LA. See, that to me makes me sound like he really fucked up Because honestly, I don't think you get a two-way here. You would have gotten a real contract here in Toronto, but maybe this is one of the things on the down low. Maybe Bobby Masai weren't offering him a whole lot, or maybe they were like, you know what, we don't care. There could be some things that we understand in this whole situation where, you know what, Bobby and Masai probably were like, yeah, we're not going to deal with Koloko anymore. And maybe it's because of Clutch and Rich Paul, and we're just sick of dealing with them in general, Nick Nurse and all the rest of them. Maybe it's also that they know something more about the medical history of him and how much of a risk it is still to invest in him. I think the tell that we were not going to bring him back ever was when Masai came out and admitted his 3 mistakes in his Raptors tenure as the boss. That he admits Bruno Caboclo, he admits Malachi Flynn, and Christian Koloko. And why would he say that Koloko is one of his mistakes if there was a chance for him to circle back and come back? Well, maybe because Masai, even though it seemed like he was working to get him back, was not really actually thinking about doing this whole time. You know, the way they treated Gary Trent Jr. this summer could have been very well similar to Koloko. It could very well be that Rich Paul and Clutch put out that we were one of the front runners, but maybe Masai and Bobby were like, no, we're not going to try and get Koloko. We're good. We got Fernando, and we've drafted Shamshe. So without living on the moon with the front office, we don't know exactly when they made decisions to cut bait with Koloko. They could have made it when they waived him. Maybe Bobby and Masai that day were like, you know, we're going to waive Koloko right now. And if he does get cleared to play, are we going to regret this, Masai? He's like, so be it. Don't worry about it. He needs to add weight. He's behind a year now. And so be it. In some ways, we can work without him and be fine. So we don't know the timing exactly of when the decision that Koloko's not going to be a part of our future was. It may not have been this week. It could have been 6 months ago or 8 months ago that they decided this. And, you know, I was said yesterday, why would you waive Koloko if you're going to get Jordan Nwora in this deal with Indiana and end up just letting him walk this summer anyway? I don't know. A lot of people can paint this as a front office loss, but you know what? We don't know what's going to happen with Koloko. And if we see something weird with his health still and the Lakers having problems because of it, well, we're going to be like, yeah, Masai and Bobby are G still, and they're smart. And they avoided all this confusion and messed up stuff because, well, Koloko is still having issues. So I don't know. We'll have to see how it all goes down. Two-way deal, Koloko, you're on a two-way deal. You were a regular full contract with the Raptors originally. And you know what? I think if we were going to sign you, we had our two-way deals all held up. You would have gotten a full contract with us. So to me, it's kind of fishy that the Lakers have signed him to a two-way deal. In some ways, I want to know the total. I want to know the total money he's getting. It's a one-year deal, guys. That's the other thing. The Lakers are only willing to commit 1 year on him. And from what Mike was saying yesterday, they've gone into the second apron because of this. And that's the other thing that's interesting. Raptors Truth is on Twitter going on about how the Raptors problem is that we will not actually spend and other teams will. Well, Raptors Truth, I would ask you this, guy. Should we spend like the Lakers, a team that's honestly a sub 500 team and they're maxed out on their contracts and their salary cap? Should we be like them? Because that sounds like a horrible, horrible place the Lakers are in right now. They got a huge amount of salary. They're very close to getting taxed like crazy because of the aprons, but they don't have a winning team. That sounds like really bad management. And that sounds like really bad stuff. Now, I know everybody's knocking the Raptors front office for not investing in Siakam and Anunoby this past year. But honestly, I don't think that was the right route. And because in some ways, we weren't winning with that combination. And that's what the Lakers are. A team that's maxing out and paying a whole bunch of people and going into the taxes without actually winning. That's horrible management. That's what I would say to this right here. So listen, and I don't want people to think the Raptors will not spend to win because it's not the time right now, Raptors Truth. In some ways, they're rebuilding and they need to grow the seeds of the young players, some of the people we just drafted this summer, and see what happens and then invest in the ones. Now, Scotty, IQ, RJ, they're invested in big money, but we can't invest big money into everybody, and it has to fit, especially with the new salary cap rules. So even if it seems like they're being kind of like Scrooge McDuck and like, no, we don't want to spend money. The Raptors organization doesn't want to spend money. They will when the time is right and they know it's time to strike towards a Larry O'Brien. That is evident from around the championship year. So don't get it twisted. We're in a new phase of the cycle of a franchise. And that means growing the seeds early and finding out who we're going to pay later and having flexibility while we're doing that. In some ways, the best teams in the league are the ones that have cheap payroll that absolutely win. And in some ways, that's what we're striving for right now. Our payroll may be a certain thing, and we may have flexibility to make moves in the NBA. And that is a power in itself. A lot of these teams are filled up, and they don't have as much room to move with the new apron system. So there's a lot you got to think about here. And if Raptors Truth wants to go around and saying that the Raptors are being cheap and that's why we'll never win, well, maybe that's old MLSE Maple Leafs kind of strategy. But I don't think that is still with us. It's just that the time in our cycle of rebuilding as a franchise is not the time to spend. And that's what I would say to that right there. Why would we spend when we're not close to getting a championship yet? So let's build. Let's let these players bring us up. That's what I'm saying right there. I think it's crazy that he settled for a two-way. You probably could have gotten a real contract, Koloko, from one of the 4 teams that were named, from the San Antonio Spurs, from the Clippers. Steve Ballmer's crazy. He would have thrown money at you. But no, you went with wrench ball. You kept it in the family. I know you're such a clutch guy. You love that clutch shit. And, well, that's probably the main reason why you did this. Your loyalty is to your agency. Your loyalty is to LeBron, and it wasn't to Masai. And that's disappointing. I'll say that right now. It's disappointing. Nameless is saying, I wonder if Bobby was not as interested in Koloko as he once was and allowed this to happen. I can't help but feel portrayed. This is kind of what I'm alluding to, Nameless. I think this is true. In some ways, we got to think about this in a young man's development. Koloko's going to be 25 soon. He's not as young as Shamshay at 18. And in some ways, Shamshay has more weight and strength on him than Koloko does right now. So he has to hit that weight room hard. And if he's like Chris Boucher, who he gets confused with all the time. In fact, there's major media outlets putting Boucher's picture out for the Koloko signing with the Lakers yesterday. Is really ridiculous, and in some ways it smacks of racism, but also smacks of really poor journalists fact-checking their picture for who they're talking about. He may not ever fill out. He may be like Chris and have a real problem with getting good strength and body weight on him. And in some ways, the league is showing with Wemby. Wemby is not completely effective because of his skinniness and his ability to be pushed around by bigger players. And in some ways, that's the biggest Achilles heel of Victor Wembanyama. And it's also the same Achilles heel of Christian Koloko. So it could be very well that Bobby, yeah, you might be right, that he was not as interested in Koloko after all this. It could very well be they were talking to Clutch and they were seeing how they were acting. And he was like, you know what, guys, I've been sick of talking to you guys the last couple of years, whether it has to do with Nick, whether it has to do with Fred, whether it has to do with Gary. Yeah, you go ahead, Christian. Go do whatever you're going to do. We're good. We got Bruno Fernando, the Angolan. We've got also this young Cameroonian coming up underneath you. So, yeah, and Ulrich is celebrating Christian getting signed to the Lakers. In some ways, it's just keep it in Cameroonian family and keep it in the Clutch family, unfortunately, too. But, yeah, that surprised me. And Ulrich, you don't have to celebrate Christian, but you're just such a nice guy. You're going to do that. But I'd be very surprised if you didn't get some messages from Raptors fans saying, why are you celebrating this turncoat motherfucker? I bet you there were some people who said that to Ulrich Shamshay for putting Christian Koloko on his Instagram stories. In fact, let's do them right now real quick since I brought it up. There is the story I'm talking about on Shamshay's Instagrams. The Lakers and 7-foot Christian Koloko have agreed on a deal, says Calvin Andrews of Clutch Sports. Fuck you, Calvin Andrews. I'll say that first of all. But yeah, Shamshay is celebrating his fellow Cameroonian. And then there's footage of him putting up shots. And those look like half-court shots he's shooting. That is from very far away. Look at that. Oh, no, that's from the baseline. Never mind. That's from the baseline. There we see Slim Duck has got some dads really have that sixth sense. And that's to save the kid from hitting his head. He threw that pillow and he saved them. That's pretty cool. Is that guy wearing a Raptor shirt? I hear pata, pa, pa, pa. What is that? What is that? I don't know, lady. What is that? Y'all check out Chris's Instagram stories. They're always funny. That's right. When you finally found someone who matches your energy. Okay. All right. This lady's going crazy in her car. Let's see. I need this level of confidence. And this is a televangelist. And he's saying some crazy shit, I'll bet. He's absolutely saying some crazy shit. I'm sure he is. I felt this through the screen. Somebody's getting their hair like combed. Ow, man. Why'd you rip it like that? Oh, don't be doing that. If you know, you know. Do you guys ever say, no, I have a girlfriend? If someone offers you money, do you say, no, I have a salary? That's funny. All right, let's see. I'm not a morning person. Me at 5 a.m. at the airport, and he's like dancing in the airport or something like that's crazy, Chris. That's crazy. All right, we got the Angolan BF. That is Bruno Fernando. I'm following him, and I've unfollowed Coloco as of today. And I see Bruno Fernando's got a nice picture of the CN Tower sitting in right in front of him, and that means he's in Toronto. So welcome to Toronto, Bruno. We expect great things from you, big man. And let's go Angola, and let's kick some ass this year on the Raptors. Bruno Fernando. That's right. Grady Dick did an event yesterday in Toronto for Topps cards, the trading cards, and he was mobbed by a bunch of kids. He said first in Canada, the first time they did a Topps pop-up store, and Grady Dick was there to show up for Topps, and the kids loved it. Amazing event, blessed. And there was just a mob of young kids just loving seeing young Grady. And looks like it's so fun, man. And they're getting their basketball cards, and Grady Dick's probably there to sign some of them for them. Very, very cool stuff. Jamal McGlore's got a signed autograph of him going somewhere to some place. I don't even know exactly. There he is learning from the best. Not sure what that is about. And a couple of Scarborough guys on Eglinton West today. Good to see the Scarbs getting represented by Jamal. And that's a pretty cool thing. TCF presents Scarborough's a joke. And I think this is some sort of show, some sort of play or something like that. Scarborough's a joke. And they got like a Vancouver Grizzlies logo, but it's the trash panda. It's a raccoon with a trash can. I don't know what's going on here. Scarborough Raccoon has entered the chat. Okay, then. Precious is celebrating Coloco's news and showing the clips of him running the whole court. Christian, man, what are you doing with your life? In some ways, I'm going to say this right now. We'll see what's happening with you in a year or two from now. And in some ways, some people are hoping the best for him, and I am to an extent. But in some ways, I'm also kind of like, yeah, you're going to get what you get because you're on the Lakers. And that's what I'm going to say right now. Yeah, and Christian Precious is proud of his What If Unlimited team. Let's see, who else we got? Jay Nathan is cruising around in Wellington, Florida. So we know that the Serious Pros Only shoe guy is down there. Raptors are still putting that event out for nominate mentors and leaders in your community for difference makers and people changing lives through basketball. So put out those nominations, and there's tickets for Raptors game as a prize, guys. So go on the Raptors official admin if you have anybody in mind you want to nominate. Let's see here. What is this? This Kyle Lowry saying happy birthday to Jimmy Butler on his Instagram stories. Of course, Jimmy is one of his best friends, even though they're not teammates anymore. He's also saying happy birthday to P. Enjoy your day. Pauline. I don't know who Pauline is. And there's DeMar DeRozan, seeing the love from the fans, including David Saborin. The commissioner of trivia was in the house to see DeMar in person and do a Q&A and get the book signed. Thank you, David, once again for going to the event. Such a cool event. And DeMar felt the love, I'm sure. There's your Instagram stories for today from all over. And man, Bruno Fernando, welcome to Toronto. Yeah, you turn the past and go forward into the future. And that is Fernando and Shamshay, guys. That's right. That's what it is right there. Cowboy's saying, is that true, Trevor? Fuck Clutch is what he's saying. Hang on. Let me see where I jumped ahead. I don't want to miss any of these great comments. I see there's a lot of people in the chat today. We're going to get everybody. LeBron wanted him. Oh, well, we got Prince Shamshay. That's right, Cowboy. That's the right attitude. Seriously. Because, like, seriously, in some ways, it's kind of like LeBron and the Lakers. They like to think that they can just summon whoever they want from around the basketball world, whether it's other NBA teams or college coaches, but they can't. They can. And Dan Hurley proved that this summer. C.D. Osman proved that this summer. Well, LeBron and Rich Paul have some say over Coloco and his mindset. He would say, you have to come here because all our big men are hurt and the Lakers need you right away, guy. Okay, King James, you go ahead and summon your squire, Christian Coloco, to your medieval palace in Los Angeles. That's what I'm saying right there. Yeah, Name is saying America loves our players up here, just in the closet about it and too scared to admit it out loud. Well, you know, we have a really good development up here. And in some ways, once again, people have talked and acted like we're a farm system for the NBA. That's bullshit. In some ways, look, our very good players have gone on to greener pastures and are getting big money on American teams right now. Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam. But you know what? We got the value years of these guys' careers. And it's at this point, they're getting paid a lot for what they've already done. In some ways, these guys are at their peaks. And they may be starting to go down in the years to come after that. So I'd rather be on the escalator going up than the escalator going down. And I'm not saying anything about any of those three gentlemen, But you guys admit these guys are really kind of at their peaks right now. And well, they're going to keep getting paid more and more as they go out. Well, that's not good value, is what I'm saying. In some ways, the Raptors are about value. That's it right there. Yeah, Cowboys saying so true to Nameless. And Trevor J saying, yeah, Cowboy, it's true. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy Sunday. We'll join the stream after church, but the Coloco news pissed me off. No swearing for me today. So if anyone can cuss for me, go at it. So MJ is feeling like, she's in church mode, so she can't be cussing right now. So if anybody wants to cuss for her, you go ahead. That's so funny. I'm going to give Fiercely a dunk for that because she's a woman of God, but she also feels like cussing a lot because of Christian. So yeah, we're going to put you at 202. You've broken the 200 barrier. Fiercely, you're at 202 now. Kareem is here. Good to see Kareem Thomas, the butt dialer. Let's see what he's saying this morning. From here on out, it's fuck Coloco. He used all our resources only to stab us in the back. That guy's a bitch, and he calls himself a Christian. Well, it's his name. You know what? This is one of the things I'll say that is kind of weird and funny. When Christian got drafted by us, I remember a footage of him back in Cameroon with his family and with tribal leaders, and they were blessing him as a warrior to go to the NBA and have good strength and good conditioning and be ready for his career. Well, then he had these blood clot problems. So I don't know. In some ways, I'm like, what are you doing with your life, Christian? Think for yourself. I thought you were a straight A student, egghead, young kid, but it seems like in some ways you're a puppet for Rich Paul at this point. It is what it is, Kareem, and so be it. It shall be as it is. Like a lot of people are saying, this is an inconsequential thing. It's inconsequential for the Raptors. It's inconsequential for them. And some people are going to frame this as an L for the Raptors organization, but we don't know the outcome with young Christian yet. And in some ways, we may look like, once again, just like with Kawhi Leonard, we dodge a bullet. How about that? So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how this goes down with the Lakers and Christian. And who knows? In a couple of years from now, we may be saying something very similar to what happened with Kawhi Leonard when he chose with Uncle Dennis to go to the Clippers. So, yeah, let's just wait and see how this plays out. Some of the Lakers fans don't even understand who this player is. They're disrespecting him left and right already. They're like, who the hell is this guy? It's so funny. And some of them are like, oh, you got a good one. You're going to be good. And I do appreciate the Raptors fans in social media places kind of saying, yeah, you sold us out, Christian, and calling them on it. Call them on it. Yeah. Cowboy's saying eye candy is this is for you from Cowboy. He's saying the F word to Clutch. That's right. He's saying the F word to Clutch. And I am with you on this. I mean, seriously, Rich Paul, my God, LeBron, just retire, please. And then you can go and be the president of Clutch. And I won't have any problem with the fucking collusion that just happened with a Clutch client coming to your team because you need a big man all of a sudden. Yeah. In some ways, I hope that Bobby Masai had been just like, yeah, we don't care, Christian. You're out. You're out. And I hope that it was like, I don't know. They were talking to him in Summer League, feeling things out and seeing what's going on. In fact, there's the picture of Christian standing next to Scotty. And some people are using it as the height test for Scotty Barnes. The Christian Coloco is listed at 7'1", and you see Scotty standing next to him. He's only like 2 inches shorter than him. So it's like Scotty's probably 6'11", like he said on Twitch a couple weeks ago. Because when you see him standing next to Christian, he's not that much shorter than him. So, yeah, that's an interesting thing I'll say about Christian right there. That's right. Cowboys saying, well, can't wait to see Prince Shamshay block Coloco. Bring it on, Lakers and NBA. We good up here. Well, once again, this is a kind of an interesting thing. I feel like the reason why they have the Lakers so early in the season against us is that partly they're one of the easier teams in the beginning of the season, actually, for us. We have mostly really good playoff teams we're playing, but they wanted us to play when we're confused or maybe we're in the fire of the really tough schedule with some of the top teams in the league. They sandwiched both of the Laker games in the first month of the season. And, I don't know if they're trying to do this either. There is a history of the Lakers trying to make history with us, Kobe Bryant's 81. And in some ways, maybe they're going to try and put LeBron and Bronny on the court against us for the first time ever in history. Like, I could see this happening, especially since the Raptors are playing the Lakers both their games very early in the season. That the opportunity to put Bronny out there with his dad at the same time may happen in a game against us, guys. So be ready for that. A lot of people are trying to anticipate when Bron and Bronny will be on the court together at the same time and how the historic event will be held. So they may want to put our name in that event as the team that they were playing against when they first played together. And you know how the NBA is with script writing. If they're going to have Bron and Bronny play their first games together, they won't want to win. And they may railroad us once again, like Ben Taylor did when we played the Lakers in LA last year. So be ready for all of this. And I'm not just talking out my ass. I may say this, and in 2 months, this shit all unfolds like this. So be ready for this, seriously. And hopefully it isn't like this. Hopefully they play Bron and Bronny together against us, and we beat their ass, is what I'm saying right now. Yeah. Yeah, Trevor's saying Ulrich is going to be better than Koloko. We all need to relax and watch LeBron running him out of town after 1 year. Yeah, I mean, this could be what part of the problem will be. Maybe Koloko is not going to get along with certain things over in that area of LA. Maybe it's partly that, like, it is just a tryout for the fact that it's only a 1 year contract for him is really like scary in some ways. Because if things don't go right this year, his NBA career could be completely over after this year. So, and man, you don't want to be putting it on the Lakers to manage you properly to get you in the right position to continue. You've got to understand how many guys have been on the Lakers the last couple of years that are not in the league at this point, Christian. So, man, you really took a big gamble. You may have saw the fun of playing with LeBron. Well, you know what you can say, Christian, possibly? Even if this year and your rookie year are the only 2 years you play in the NBA, at least you played with the great Siakam and you got to play with the great LeBron James. Ooh, there you go. There you go. But at what cost? You may not be getting a long-term NBA career. That's what I'm going to say right there. Name was saying, as Lex once said before, at least there are now no more clutch representation on our roster. Well, unfortunately, Shamshay is clutch. Nameless. Unfortunately, for some reason, Rich Paul's getting his paws in the young Cameroonians like Christian and Ulrich. So Ulrich is technically clutch right now. Unfortunately, he may be the only guy on our team that's clutch, though, as far as I know. Cowboys say, make sure you do a prayer for Koloko. He's going to need it playing for the Raptors or for the Lakers. Yeah, I mean, okay. You guys can pray for him if you want. Cowboys saying, alley-oop to Nameless. Let's grow. Raptors, we good. That's right. And that's how I believe on this. Bruno Fernando is a more polished, along player in the NBA than Christian Koloko. Christian Koloko's got a lot of big question marks around him. And some of them have to do with his health. Some of them have to do with his weight. All right, we're going to give Nameless a 5-pointer. He's going to jump up to 48. 48 dunks for Nameless. It returned into the chat today. It's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's see. David's here, as you were. All right, David is checked in, so let's do the classic card, guys. Classic card of the day, commissioned by Commissioner of Trivia David Saborin. What time is David at here? He's at 9:34, so I'm going to go ahead and come back to that spot. Let's see. No. We're doing our work here, guys. Let's see. This is what we do here. All right, here we go. Since we're talking about Clip today, why don't we get a Clipper card for the day? Here's our card of the day. That's a Clipper. Can you tell me which Clipper that is? This is a weird pose for this Clipper. That's not a normal pose you would see this player in, which is pretty funny. I don't know. If I bring it up too close, y'all probably see who that is exactly. That's Eric Sleepy Floyd behind him in the Rockets jersey. I know that. Smooth would be proud of me getting Eric Floyd right there. But yeah, who is that with the ball in the Clippers jersey on the classic card today? Don't half-ass me. Put the full name in. Do not give me an initial. Do not give me just the last name. You better write that whole name in, because otherwise I'm like, David will not give you the points. So who is that, guys? Can you tell who this Clipped player is on the day we're talking about Clipped, the TV series? All right. Don't be bashful. Don't be shy. Let's throw in some comments or some answers here. Who do you think it is, guys? Who is that? Y'all recognize this player on the classic card. Somebody's got to know who this is. There's got to be some old head hoops fans here that know who that is right there. I mean, come on. You guys really want me to put it up that close? Is that what it's going to take here to figure this out? Because I'm surprised nobody got this one right away. This is one I would get pretty quick, honestly, myself. So we'll just have to see. All right, Kareem, you spelled that wrong. I'll give you a chance to fix it. And David, you could give it to him, but there's nobody named March. March is a crazy name. Yeah. I don't know if Smooth's here right now. All right, David, you adjudicate this how you want, because Gerald's come in with the correct answer spelled right, and Kareem's auto correct has messed him up, obviously, is what's happened here. That is Mark Jackson, former coach of the Golden State Warriors and broadcaster Yeah, and he's going for a dunk, which is very, very weird. A very weird card for Mark Jackson. But yeah, there he is on the Clippers from back in the day when Mark Jackson played for them. Of course, he was on the Knicks before the Clippers. He's going to give 100 points to Kareem and 50 to Nako. So, Nako, you will get some points. And Kareem, you're going to get the bulk of them, even though you called him Jackson. March Jackson. Mark Jackson is the classic card of the day on Clipped. Sunday report. There you go. There you go. Thank you, David, for giving the ruling and the points out. And we'll jump back into the chat at the top. La 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 la. Here we go. Trevor's saying Ulrich is one of the clutch. Yeah, he is on clutch. He's the only one, as far as I know. Slug DZ is saying we should be happy for Koloko, not bashing him in the comments. Sometimes we embarrass ourselves as Raptor fans with our social media reactions. I mean, I see a mix of both. In some ways, that's part of why I'm not going as hard on him as like getting all mad and stuff like that. I get your point of view, Slug, and don't get it twisted. A lot of us are happy for the young man health-wise to be able to come back and try and recapture his dream of playing the NBA. But this is bullshit. Honestly, this is bullshit. And some people will say, well, we waived him. He has every right to do this. Yeah, but we wouldn't have waived him if he was healthy. And this is still convoluted and weird. And once again, when LeBron and Rich Paul and Clutch are involved, I don't trust any of this shit. I don't trust any of it. I don't trust Adam Silver in the NBA and how they handled this with Rich Paul and Clutch and Christian Koloko. And the fact that it's just conveniently the Lakers, LeBron's team, yeah, I called this like a year ago, Slug Deezy, that if Koloko is not allowed to play and all of a sudden he is like off our team and all of a sudden he shows up on the Lakers, that's some bullshit. And that's exactly what's happened at this point. But I appreciate what you're saying. You know, social media is going to be toxic. There's going to be a lot of gross, ugly things said on Elon's little stupid Twitter. And we can't control that. And some of it's not even Raptors fans. They may be manufactured people trying to make us look bad, acting like they're Raptors fans. That's very true. There's a lot of bots and stuff like that. So I don't put any weight in comment sections. You can tell when there's real fans commenting and saying certain things. And yeah, maybe there are some people acting out in their feelings towards Koloko right now. But in some ways, he should have understood that this would happen in some ways. And in some ways, if you're a professional player, well, in the new age of social media, this is just part of what comes with it. And, you know, he's above it. He doesn't look at it. He doesn't care. Well, that's how it is. Some guys would get upset. Some guys would be a little hurt. Some guys will care about what the fans think about him. But I don't think Christian does. And in some ways, he said stuff like, oh, my prayers, God works in the right timing. I'm so happy that this has worked out to this point. So, yeah, I mean, we can have multiple feelings for him all at once. Happy for him that his health is going to get better and hopefully he'll be able to play again, but also kind of pissed at him and feeling stabbed in the back for choosing Lakers and a two-way contract yesterday. Yeah, what is that? A two-way? What? Nako's saying to comment on the studio that made Winning Time, they have canceled stuff to make money off of a tax write-off. Not saying you need to like it or watch it, but stuff shouldn't get canceled for taxes. Well, I think it was canceled because it sucked, honestly, Nako. I know a lot of Lakers fans thought it would go all the way through the history of the Lakers, and they were like, I can't wait for the Kobe and Shaq Winning Time episodes. Yeah, keep dreaming. You know, that series was not very good, I'm going to say, Nako. In some ways, it was too jokey and also trying to be serious at one point. Like, we can't deal with like fart humor 1 minute, and then they're trying to make big societal messages about how society is messed up for racist reasons. No, you can't do both flavors of ice cream in the same dish like this. You either got to go on a straight man kind of like, this is a serious show like Clip did, and really show it in a serious way, because when you cartoonize our social problems in life, it's really a bad thing. In some ways, Idiocracy is like this. Superstore as a TV show is very much like this. They're showing really horrible things about society on Superstore, and then at the same time trying to be tongue-in-cheek and silly about it. In some ways, that's insulting. And in some ways, when these are serious societal problems, you shouldn't be taking them lightly and making jokes around them in the trimmings. And that's part of it right there. The other thing is that show sucked. Once again, I'll say that show sucked. The acting was not good. And what I just said is right there. So whatever reason the show isn't on anymore, I would say maybe partly what you're saying about it. And that's just indicative of corporate and business things for write-offs and profit and all that kind of stuff. but also because the show was horrible. Honestly, Nako, the show was horrible. David saying, wasn't there a scene where the side piece gave Donald Sterling a blowjob? No, they made it look like that. There was a part in that show where they very much intimated, and that was really genius because there was a real reveal to it in the whole story. If you watch it, David, where V tells her friend, we're not having sex though, because her friend's like, you can fix this by just putting on a really nice teddy and going to see him and rocking his world sexually. And she says, but I don't have sex with him. And the scene that you're talking about is really well shot. They made it look like it. And Adriana and I were looking at, oh, but like, no, she was going down to rub his feet, like massage his feet. But they shot it really well to make it seem like she was giving him oral sex. But yeah, that's that scene right there. Smooth saying Donald Sterling wasn't having sex with Vanessa. Wow. Yeah, no, they were not having sex at all. That's revealed and clipped. And it's funny because the wife says it in the part. She said, well, he's not having sex with her. And like, you're like, oh, you're just dumb. You're getting cheated on. But no, it was actually true. She was never about having sex with anybody. She was just this hot girl that like they show how she gets into this lifestyle in the show. They flashback and they show her going to a Hollywood party and a sanctuary sex party. And she's like, didn't even know it was a sex party. And she's freaked out by all these naked people having sex around her. And then she's in a kitchen talking to some weird guy, and he loses his teeth. And then like they make a friendship, and she establishes meeting rich guys, but not having sex with them, and just kind of being a friend and kind of there for them. And that's how she ended up with Donald Sterling down the road. She never actually was a gold digger that used sex. She used her like personality and her friendship and like really caring about them. And that's where she got to her place. So she wasn't even using her body in that way. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. David saying, I don't get that, but I guess. No, really, in some ways you got to think about this. Some of these really rich guys in Hollywood that could have any woman by buying them, that's different to them. When they meet a woman who's like, yeah, we're not going to have sex, but I want to be like mothering to you and caring to you, and I'll still wear skimpy stuff, and I'll do all your laundry. I'll take care of all your appointments. I'll make sure you're on top of your things, because that's what she was. She literally was the assistant to Donald Sterling. And the other crazy thing is that she recorded him all the time on purpose, and he had okayed it. Like all the recordings that she has tons and tons of recordings of him acting crazy and talking crazy racist shit. So she had a whole bunch of them. And the only reason why she released it, she didn't even mean to, was because the wife was threatening her with a lawsuit to get the house and the Ferrari that he bought for her. She never had sex with Donald Sterling. He bought her a duplex. He bought her a Bentley. He bought her a Ferrari. He bought her a ton of gifts. And in the end, it's shown that like she was never actually an official employee of his, and that got her in trouble too at the end. So yeah, y'all need to watch it. It's very deep and layered in all kinds of ways, whether it's about gold digging women and social media fame, whether it's the whole part about Donald Sterling being racist and working underneath him for so many years as a player, whether it's Elgin Baylor, whether it's Doc Rivers as a player and a coach, whether it's just like the whole history of the Clippers and why they suck so bad the whole time Donald Sterling owns them. They even talk about Donald Sterling and his wife being slumlords in LA and how there are people that they mistreated and treated very horribly and even did racist shit around their housing and how they chose who was able to live in their housing. So they really paint a bad picture of the Sterlings, but also at the same time, they show them as human and also kind of in some ways, I don't know if it's Ed O'Neill because he's Al Bundy and all this shit. I kind of like Donald Sterling a little bit more from watching this series. But I still think he's a racist piece of shit and he shouldn't be owning a team in the NBA. So, but there was some parts of it where you're like, well, this is a side of Donald that I didn't understand because it's complicated. People are complicated. It's real easy to just broad brush Donald Sterling is just a racist, rich piece of shit. He is that, but there's other sides to him also. And in some ways, that may be part of the reason why the Sterlings okayed this series is because they showed them from a completely round light. But don't get it twisted. They indict them as horrible people still. They really do. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Infamous saying, salute freaks. I have a theory. I believe that we were given Ulrich in exchange for the Lakers getting Koloko. They have the same agent, and we were gifted Ulrich in a strange way. I don't know if that's totally true. I think they're independent of each other. I think that Masai and Bobby did bid farewell to Koloko when they did waive him. And they, in some ways, they knew that. They knew that, like, well, we have no rights to him at this point. We have no standing. And in some ways, it's just up to, baby Koloko will want to circle back and be with us. But they knew that they had no power in the situation once they released his rights when they waived him in January of this year. So in some ways, I think that, and because Masai said he called Koloko a mistake, like after that at the year-end interview, that it shows that they had already said goodbye to him at that point, and that him coming back, like Doug Smith said, is just not going to happen. You guys get over Koloko. He's not going to come back. Well, this shit all happened this week, and we've seen the final result of it finally. But the saga of Christian Koloko is not over. In some ways, the Laker chapter is about to start. And yeah, that could be a whole other kind of saga than the one he's had up here in Toronto. That's for sure. Yeah. Very, very interesting stuff. I don't know if they're connected, though. I think that Masai wanted Ulrich, and he did that all on his own. And in some ways, he made the deal with the Grizzlies for $1 million to get their pick, to grab him right at the end of this year's draft before he cycles over to next year's draft and he becomes a top 10 pick next year. And in some ways, that's Masai getting ahead in the queue to get Ulrich Shamshe and save him from a 2025 draft next year and a possible top 5 pick. So, yeah, in some ways, that's getting him on cheaper, but he's also getting the league faster and starting his development faster, too. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Rapid Freak crew. Great topic. Where do I see this? Netflix? It's on Disney Plus on streaming services up here. So, unfortunately, you have to have Disney Plus to watch Clipped. And unfortunately, Adriana's got it here because her family has it. So that's how I got to watch it, was here. But yeah, it's on Disney Plus, Cool Cat. But it's amazing. It's fantastic. And if you're a fan of Lawrence Fishburne, LeVar Burton, this is a great movie to watch, a great series to watch, because they're really good in it, honestly. I think LeVar Burton's weird in the movie. In the show. But Lawrence Fishburne, honestly, he should get an Emmy almost for how he plays Doc Rivers. And once again, I'll say this. I've slam dunked on Doc so many different ways in the last couple of years on this channel, but I have a newfound respect for him. And he talks a lot about like how he's affected by racism. And you understand more about Doc Rivers and what he stands for. And I love the fact that they showed Doc Rivers interacting with Donald Sterling, and he won't call him Mr. Sterling. He said, I'll call him Mr. Sterling when he calls me Mr. Rivers. And the assistants for Donald Sterling are telling me, you need to call him Mr. Sterling, Doc. And he's like, fuck that. I'm not calling him fucking Mr. Sterling if he's not going to give me the same thing. It's really cool because they show Doc Rivers kind of as a very feisty. And the other thing they show is Doc being a really good leader for the Clippers team. And really that run that the Clippers went on that year was one of their best years, honestly, in the history of that whole franchise. And it's kind of sad that the owner and him getting ousted kind of fucked up one of their best years to try and go for it, because they were a good team. DeAndre Jordan, Matt Barnes, Jamal Crawford, Glenn Big Baby Davis, JJ Redick, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin. You remember that team, and they're all played in the movie, and they're very interesting casting choices. The guy who plays Chris Paul is really good. The guy who plays Blake Griffin's kind of goofy. And they kind of show like Blake Griffin is kind of a media whore. They kind of show him as like, oh, I'm willing to do whatever and be whatever. And Donald Sterling like parades him around as like a dog at his parties. And like all the rest of the Clippers kind of don't respect Blake Griffin because he's kind of letting himself be like that with him. And they do kind of show the personalities really well. Like Jamal Crawford really comes through in his personality in the movie, in the series. Like you really get the sense this is Jamal Crawford, the former player and the analyst that's on NBA broadcast now. They did a really good job with that. Matt Barnes is a little weird in it. It's kind of weird that two of the podcast main people, the current Lakers coach, are in this and they get portrayed like this. Like there's a part where Donald Sterling says he doesn't want JJ Redick because he found out he's white. He's like, Doc, you didn't tell me JJ Redick is white. I don't want to sign him now. And he gets in a big fight with Doc Rivers about signing JJ Redick because he's a white guy. And he's like, we don't want a white guy on our team like this. It's really an interesting series, y'all. And I really do believe it's based on very true events. and it's mostly very, very factual, which makes it way more fun to watch than that fantasy cartoon that they made called Winning Time. It really, really does make it better. Yeah, David's saying, I don't imagine I watched it on Amazon Prime. No, it's on Disney Plus in Canada if you want to watch it. Sue's here. Good to see you play it again, Sue. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. I haven't seen the show clipped. I will have to check it out. It's definitely worth a watch. It's 6 parts of about 50 minutes each. So it's it's about a 5.5 hour watch, around a 5 hour watch. And man, it's fun. The 4th episode is a flashback episode that is so good. Like they really did a good job of giving context over time of how the Clippers have been and Donald Sterling. And they go back in the backstory of Doc when he's a player and he's playing for the Clippers in the 90s during the LA riots. And he goes through this whole thing about why am I on the Clippers? And there's people burning down the neighborhoods in LA right now in 94. When he played on the Clippers at that point. So there's a lot of context and there's a lot of very good interlaying of themes throughout the whole series that are all interconnected with racism. And it really is powerful. The Elgin Baylor stuff is really, really, really the cherry on top that really gives you the whole sense of just the dysfunction of Donald Sterling's tenure on the Clippers. And man, it's so good. It's so good. And there's a lot of really story arcs in it. There's multiple story arcs of the main people in it, whether it's V. Striviano, whether it's Mrs. Sterling, whether it's Mr. Sterling, whether it's Doc Rivers. Yeah, Elgin Baylor. They all have story arcs in this that come to a conclusion by the end of it. That's really kind of good payoff and really kind of makes you understand it, man. It's really, really good. Y'all check out Play It Again, Sue, a great YouTube music reaction channel. Sue is awesome with all of her friends on Play It Again, Sue and Friends. They're always watching the best stuff, the old stuff, the new stuff, the good stuff. That's right. Play It Again, Sue. Highly recommend it. Yes, love the Sue from David. I love that. Infamous saying the funny thing about that series is Lawrence is not even a basketball fan and had no knowledge of the game prior to the role. That's a really interesting factoid. I did not know, Infamous. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a dunk for it. And I could see this being believable. He is a trained actor. He's a Shakespearean actor. Sure, he's been in a lot of goofy stuff. He's in The Matrix as Morpheus. He's done a lot of really, really cool stuff. But in some ways, I could see this. Him not being – I don't really remember seeing him at a lot of games. 32 dunks for you, Infamous. You got the Magic Johnson right now. But, yeah, I have never, ever seen him at courtside at Laker games or anything like that. So this checks. But he's such a great character actor. You really fall into him being Doc. Like the mannerisms and the way Doc would hold himself. We know Doc Rivers so well from being a career NBA person around the family of the NBA for most of his whole entire life. And seeing him become Doc Rivers is powerful. In some ways, that's the epitome of a good actor. When you forget that's Lawrence Fishburne. In some ways, Ed O'Neill didn't do this in his role, unfortunately. He didn't totally immerse himself. I mean, he did a good job. Let's get it right. He played a fair all-around portrayal of Donald Sterling, but you still, in some points, you're still saying, oh, that's Al Bundy playing Donald Sterling over and over again when you see him in it. But then, with Lawrence Fishburne, you forget that that's Lawrence Fishburne playing Doc Rivers, and you actually start believing this is Doc Rivers because he does such a good job. It's crazy. Yeah. David's saying, yeah, he nailed it, though. He really did. And it's because he probably just watched Doc in a lot of interviews and the way he carries himself and even his posture. And even actors have this uncanny way of making their face and their body and their head. Like it may be the line they used for his hair really made it go come home. Yeah, you see a whole other side to Doc in it, and you kind of see him as a coach and the way he coaches. He even says in it, I'm not known as an X's and O's coach. I'm more known as a team coach and a player coach and a character coach. And that's true. And he even admits all of his shortcomings as a character in this about his problems with how he hasn't won since the Celtics championship. And, he talks a lot about why the hell did I come back to LA? It's a really, really interesting series. Y'all should watch it. And y'all are saying hi to each other. Good to see Sue. So good to see Sue. So he's saying, I hope the Lakers nation understand that he missed a year of development. They are a vicious bunch. That's going to be part of the stew that's stewing over there. It's like they're impatient. They're crazy. We know they're toxic. We know that they can throw people under the bus in a moment's notice in Lakers Nation. In some ways, we get behind our guys once they're with us, and we really support them, and we try and build them up. But Lakers Nation can tear somebody down real quick, and for no good reason. We know this. So this will be very interesting to see this phenomena. Christian, you are not with a fan base that will love you and take care of you unconditionally in some ways. We would do that for you here because we like you and we want success for you. These people down there are crazy. And some of them are going to say some crazy shit about you. And you may be shocked just how different Raptors Nation is from Lakers Nation. Seriously. Yeah. David's saying it ain't going to be pretty. That's for sure. Yeah. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. Now, success will help him. If he's able to come back and do some amazing things for them, that'll really help them for sure. Sue saying Christian was almost destined to go to LA because of Clutch. He's a great risk anyway. He has a long way to go anyway. I don't think it's a big loss for us. We have others. We don't need him. I think Sue's nailed it on the head. That seriously, this is an inconsequential move in a lot of ways. I mean, they're not even posting it on ESPN. ESPN does not have a story saying Christian Koloko signed to the Lakers. They don't, we know that they expose the Lakers and talk about them so much. But if you go to ESPN, there's no news about it or nothing. It's like it's swept under the rug, happened in the middle of the night, and nobody really cares. Whether it's Laker Nation, whether it's ESPN, in some ways, a lot of people are just not paying attention to this move, and it's inconsequential. Well, that says a lot right there. That ESPN hasn't even put a headline up that Christian Koloko has signed with the Lakers yesterday. It's not up there. It's not up there. They're talking about retiring Jerry West, 44, and or not retiring it, but wearing the patch on their jerseys. That's what they're talking about with the Lakers right now. Yeah, David's saying, give this lady a dunk. All right, yeah, let's give Sue a dunk for showing up on a Sunday with us. We love Sue. Sue's a longtime original Raptor freak. Been watching me since the very beginning, and we love seeing Sue at the games too. I'm going to give her a 5-pointer. She's got the RJ Barrett 9, guys. You got an RJ Barrett 9. That's a real one right there. That's right. Tom Duke saying impression. You want LeBron, Darth Vader meeting up with Rich Paul to discuss Koloko being their savior? All right, Tommy. Tommy wants me to do the LeBron, Darth Vader. All right. Here we go. Hang on a sec.
Hey, Rich. Yeah. Christian's an idiot. Not Koloko. I mean Wood. Yeah. He decided to go ahead and get surgery like a week before the season. So he's not going to be out. Can we do anything? Do we have anybody? Brian, we could get Christian to come over here. Well, oh, yeah. Christian Koloko. Right. Yeah. Let's get him. All right. Make it so. Make it so, my Sith Lord. Please. All right, Darth LeBron. All right.
I mean, a part of this really is that Christian Wood got hurt and the Lakers are scrambling. I don't know if they do this deal to get Koloko, probably, but maybe they don't if their big men are not hurt, like Vanderbilt and Christian Wood. And people are saying, what about Jackson Hayes? What about these guys? In some ways, Christian's got a crowded field to try and get time in the Lakers rotation. That there are, when Christian Wood gets healthy, AD's out there still, that in some ways Christian may not get to play as much later on. He's probably going to get to play a lot at the beginning of the season because they're going to need him. But depending on how that goes, the other thing about it is if the Lakers are going to be running Bronny and Christian out there, there's going to be a lot of mistakes. Yeah. And not just from them. There's going to be mistakes from JJ Redick being a brand new rookie coach that just came from a podcast. And in some ways, the Lakers are maybe a little ripe for the picking in the beginning of the season when we play them or for only 2 games against them in the first month of the season. So that could be something that happens with this is that the inexperience, the newness of coming back for Christian after being on the shelf for a year, Bronny and all the bullshit that's going to be coming around him. Like how, seriously, come on now. We know Bronny's not going to come out there and just start torching people for 20 right away. So it could be very interesting, and it actually could backfire in the NBA, putting the Lakers at the beginning of the schedule for the Raptors. And who knows? Maybe we get some payback for that bullshit that happened, the complete crap last year, where they decided the Lakers could not lose to the Raptors in crypto, and they forced the Lakers to win over us. The referees completely railroading that game. Now, that's the thing I'll be looking for. Don't be fucking railroading games, Adam Silver and Kane Fitzgerald and Joe Dumars. Y'all let us play them on our own merits. We need a chance to play the Lakers straight up and stop fucking around with storylines just because you want Braun and Bronny to sell more jerseys. Seriously, I don't want to see this shit this year. And if this shit's happening, I'm going to be calling it out because I'll see it. I'll be calling it out on this channel. That's right. Tommy's saying good morning. And you guys are laughing about that. Yeah, this is pretty funny. I don't know if I did the impression justice, but I thought it'd be funny to do kind of LeBron's voice, but through the Darth Vader. Tommy's saying LeBron's going to retire at the bottom of the mountain. Yeah, I mean, sometimes control is not good. You can't have too much control. And then sometimes the wrong person has the control who doesn't have people kind of telling them and informing them in the most possible informed way. They can make bad mistakes for sure. Cool Cat saying, I trust Dr. McKechnie's health expertise with Shamshay. Well, this may be part of it. Maybe Dr. McKechnie is very knowledgeable of Christian Coloco's ailments. And, you know, Messiah and Bobby had a little meeting with Dr. McKechnie and said, what are the realistic percentages with Christian and the blood clots recurring? What are the real percentages of him like with this and this and this? And Dr. McKechnie could be like, yeah, this isn't good. This is something like what's happened with Bosch and why he had to retire. And this is something that will be a threat to him recurring, even though later on. So there is a real gamble with this. So that could be part of it right there. I think that Dr. McKechnie definitely was consulted on the health of Christian Coloco in the past year or two. That's right. I'm just saying Amazon Prime deal with the NBA, 11 million, 76 billion, 11 years, 76 billion. Wow. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, this is a huge deal for the NBA. Good money for hopefully the players and getting paid higher in different ways. I mean, it's good. Hopefully, it'll be good for the consumer. I don't know. In some ways, I don't trust Amazon. I think Amazon's a piece of shit. And I'm not happy about this because it's like, what the fuck is this? Are we going to get to some point in our lives where Amazon just owns everything? And like, they're just an overlord corporation. Bezos is the little creature like the Wizard of Oz behind the whole machine, and fucking Amazon's logos on every single thing in our lives. I mean, there's a lot of science fiction that's written like that. Idiocracy kind of shows like that, you know, that's what I wonder about. Like, when is enough enough? And that's why I say you vote for a certain side of the ballot. We're going to be breaking up monopolies and going after stuff with antitrust laws. And in some ways, that's a difference right there. In some ways, if we want competition, if we want more people getting a good piece of the pie, we want small business to succeed. We want mom and pop shops. We want little boutiques. Well, you need to vote for the people that are anti-corporate, that are not allowing monopolies like Kroger and Albertson coming together in the groceries to gouge the people. It's crazy food prices right now. We got Swiss Chalet yesterday, and a double leg dinner used to look a lot different a couple of years ago, and it's more to pay for at this point. It's crazy. It's crazy what's going on right now. It's greedflation and shrinkflation, all that kind of stuff. And that Amazon is one of the worst. Let's see. David's saying that Tom Duke. Yeah, I don't understand what he's doing. To me, it seems like he's driving his legacy into the ground due to ego and stubbornness. Talking about LeBron, I mean, listen, in some ways, he's done everything he needs to do. He's the all-time leading scorer in the history of the NBA. He's won championships. He's won MVPs. He's won gold medals. And, well, the feather in his cap he wants this year is to play alongside his son and be the first ever father-son combo in the history of the NBA. And in some ways, that may be the last thing he really wants to check off as a player. And it may very well be we get one more year of LeBron this year with his son, and then he retires next summer. So we'll just have to see. I know that I'm not sure what his contract terms are. Maybe he has a 2-year contract. But either way, we are near the end of LeBron's career for sure. That's going to be coming at some point. And he's even intimated and said that, you know, at a certain point, he's going to be tired and he's not going to want to play anymore. And he's already getting there around 40 and over 40 there. So, yeah, bullseye from Tommy. And there's the money. David's saying that right there. Cool Cat's saying the reset has begun. We have several centers in the works now, young development in the works. Coloco, unfortunately, had bad luck on his side. Yeah, bad luck. And honestly, on his side, Rich Paul. That's part of it right there. It was saying Tom Duke, just like MJ with Washington, in love with the Lakers, they all finished with their teams at the bottom. MJ, you mean like Michael Jordan with Washington? Yeah, you know, that's a weird thing. And I love what Dominique was saying and other people have said about Michael Jordan on the Wizards. In fact, DeMar DeRozan illuminated recently that he watched a lot of Michael on the Wizards, and that was one of the things that he really took a lot of inspiration for how he built this game, because he understood Michael Jordan's past his prime, and he wasn't as quick and fast anymore, but he was more deliberate and very, very clean with his footwork and how he did stuff. And that's part of the reason why he could still score at a very high level, even though he wasn't winning as a team. He was still playing at a very high level at the time. And DeMar cited watching Michael Jordan on the Wizards as a very inspirational, instructional film to mimic his own game. In some ways, he stole a lot of MJ in that blue jersey, and what he's doing in his career now is what he said recently. It's very interesting. Yeah, let's see. Fiercely saying, good morning again, fam. Did I miss Lex's freak out? No, I'm not freaking out today. I'm not going to give him that energy. In some ways, it's just like, so be it. In some ways, like I said, MJ, I called this maybe a year ago when things were getting all weird and questionable with Christian and why he's sitting out. I said, if this is some convoluted way that in a year from now he ends up on the Lakers, I wouldn't be shocked. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, there probably are streams in my archive where I said, if Christian ends up on the Lakers at some point, clutch fuckery happened. And well, in some ways, why am I going to waste the energy getting all upset about this? There's so many other things in my life that are great. And in some ways, like other people are saying on this chat, we have other assets and people coming up in our organization that are amazing. And in some ways, you know what? In some ways, Christian, as many people have said, is not a needle mover. He's not really a needle mover. Some people would say, oh, no, he could be this, he could be this. Yeah, the potential's there. But in some ways, the sense of judgment, well, I'm questioning it now. I'm questioning the judgment now at this point. That's right. That's right. Nah, he's just chilling. That's right. I'm just chilling, man. I'm just chilling. That's right. Andrew's saying Laker fans going to be upset when he isn't the next Giannis. Yeah, we got the next Giannis, and his name's Shamshay. That's right. He's not going to be the next Giannis because this is a different player type, different player build. In some ways, he's the next I don't know if he's the next Wemby. He's kind of the next Chris Boucher right now, is what Koloko is right now, is what I would say right now. His path and the way he's going about his career right now, he's more on the schedule of Chris and peaking and getting to be a regular, very bona fide, dependable pro, like at around 27 or 28. Because he's not young right now. He's like 24 right now, guys. He was one of the older, younger Raptors. And in some ways, that is a thing that's against him right there. That's the thing that's against him. Yeah, Fiercely saying, David, laugh out loud. Thank you, Cowboy. Thank you. Thank you. And Fiercely saying, cuss. Yeah, thank you for cussing for me. All right. Gerald saying, I'm thinking Wemby's Achilles is that you can put him on skates. He also can't play heavy minutes. Yeah, he's going to have to work on conditioning. These really tall, slender guys like Chet Holmgren, Christian Koloko, and Victor Wembanyama, they have an Achilles heel that is, we will push your ass out of the way. Draymond Green puts his ass on Victor Wembanyama. He moves him right out of the way. What did Dylan Brooks do to Victor this summer on Team Canada? Yeah, he was able to very much manipulate Victor in certain ways on defense. And in some ways, Victor did not go off offensively against Team Canada, partly because Dylan Brooks' masterwork of using physicality and holding him. And he's not anywhere near as tall as him. And he was still able to manage Victor very well with strength and positioning in his butt. And in some ways, that's the problem with a guy like Koloko, is like Victor. Those guys, if they don't have weight to push, they have a very long, willowy body. Well, they can get knocked out of the way. And this is part of the reason why Chris Boucher wasn't on Team Canada, because the FIBA style pushes people around. And that's why Kem Birch makes the team and Chris Boucher does not. For all the casuals who are like, why isn't Chris Boucher on Team Canada? Well, center of gravity, low center of gravity. And that's Kem Birch. And in some ways in FIBA, that's what you got to do. Speaking of FIBA, and speaking of, the Intercontinental Cup has finished. And actually, I'm really shocked. G League United got to the finals, guys. And they played in the finals last night against the team from Europe, the team that is called Unica. And that is the team that Melvin Ejim was on. Well, I'm happy to say that the G League team has still not won an Intercontinental Cup, that the team from Spain won the finals today. And Melvin Ejim is an Intercontinental Cup champion, also a Team Canada player, right? Melvin Ejim on the team that won today. So congratulations to the Spanish team from Europe, representing the continent of Europe. They have won the Intercontinental Cup as of last night, guys. And Melvin Ejim is a member of that team, Canadian Melvin Ejim. So, yeah, just so y'all know, that's how it happened in the final. But I'm shocked that the G League United did so well. They won like 2 big games. They beat the Australian team and they beat the team from South America. And then they lost in the finals to the Spanish team. So, yeah, very interesting Intercontinental Cup. And, well, the Spanish team has won once again. That's very common, actually. The team that comes from the Spanish league usually does win the Intercontinental Cup. So, all right, let's see what else you guys are saying in the chat. Cowboys showing love. And Smooth saying CK will need some time with the South Bay Lakers to develop. Yeah, Christian didn't want to be on 905. He hated being on 905. I could tell. He seemed like he was a little snobby about it. He was a little bit like, yeah, I don't really want to be on 905. I don't like this. Well, get used to it. You're going to be on the G League South Bay Lakers probably this year. And, well, there you go. There you hope you enjoy the prestige of LA and all that kind of way. But in some ways, look, we're Hollywood North up here. You could get a lot of that LA kind of stuff up here and maybe less of the toxic from the fan base is what I would say right there. Yeah. Fiercely saying anyone on the Lakers roster is disposable. Hope it works out to his liking, but will not send negativity his way. But going to the Lakers won't help with his career. I think Fiercely is kind of in the same place as me. It's like, look, all right, I don't want to hate on you, Christian. I am very happy that you're getting your health back. I don't want to show my ass and be like mad because a guy actually got health clearance to come back. But also at the same time, Raptors Nation is disappointed in you. And in some ways also, yeah, you're going to get what you get. And exactly what Fiercey is saying right here. Lakers are disposable unless your last name is James. And I mean that for both James right there. They're not either one's disposable. Because you think the Lakers are going to be allowed to do anything with Bronny with LeBron around? No, they won't be able to move him. He's going to stay there as long as Bron wants him to. So it's true. It's true. They discard people left and right like so quickly. And I'm shocked that they're already talking about how they will move Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves. I thought these guys were the guys you liked and you wanted to keep around. No, they just keep cycling through people and using them. And really, they're not doing anything good for their careers often in LA. They go somewhere else and other things happen for them at other places, whether it's Brandon Ingram and a lot of the other former Lakers that we've named that have gone and been discarded by the Lakers, and they go on and do better things somewhere else. So Smooth saying is, in all seriousness, what's the plan with Bruce Brown? He just doesn't fit it here, man. I don't know if that's totally true. Bruce Brown is weird because in some ways he is a guy who could fit on any team. He really could. In some ways he's a better piece to have on a very high competing team that's near a championship. But also at the same time, he's a good – you know what? I think I'm won over by him. The fact that he showed up a lot this summer for team events and he's fully bought in, the fact that he's gone through a lot of crap with Raptors Nation already, and it's not changing him. He understands the game. He's a pro. In some ways, the fact that he came in and he told Masai and Bobby, he said, whatever you guys want to do with me, if you want me to stay here and play for you guys and do good, I will. And if you don't, you want to trade me, I'm not upset about that either. He's been very flexible. And in some ways, he is still in the cards to be traded this year. Let's just put it that way, Smooth. But Bobby's already said he's going to start the season with us. And honestly, he could be very helpful for veteran leadership and just kind of steadying the boat in certain different ways. Now, I really don't think he is long for being on our team, and he will be probably moved in the middle of the season. And it's really because his contract's expiring, and it's attractive to other teams that want to cost cut and get money off their books next summer. So he'll get moved still, but he won't get moved before the season. He will start the season as a Raptor, and he could very well be the fifth starter, honestly. I could see them starting him with the barbecue yak, and that he may be that fifth starter instead of Grady. So people don't get upset about that. If that is the case, we'll have to see. If that's what Darko wants to do to have more veteran presence in his starting lineup to steady it and have it going good, well, he should do that. He should do that. Start Bruce Brown. I think other thing about Bruce Brown we have to remember is that he was hurt the whole time he's played for the Raptors so far. His knee was messed up the whole second half of the season. So he was not optimal level Bruce Brown. So hopefully he's healed this summer. And who knows? He could show up Smooth, and he could really impress Raptors fans and endear himself with us very quickly because he's actually healthy and playing at a higher level. And that could be a big part there. Wayne saying, hit the like button, please, and thank you. Thank you, Wayne. I hope you had a fantastic birthday yesterday. It's Wayne's birthday weekend, y'all. So say a happy birthday to Sergeant Wayne Strainer. That's right. Tom's got that like button up, too. I like it. Wayne's saying, what? Did I just hear that the NBA screwed us with Christian? What corruption? Tell me how our pick is deemed sick. He recovers and then we lose all rights. Please explain. Well, Wayne, the way it went down is this January, earlier this year, when we did the deal with Indiana to get Siakam there and to bring the guys over here as part of the roster moving around, we had to make an extra spot on our roster. We could not get an official injury spot or reserve spot for Christian. I think they actually applied for it and the NBA denied it or something like that. But we couldn't get a special status for Christian, much like the Thunder had for Chet Holmgren in his rookie year. And that kind of screwed us over. So when we made the deal with to get Bruce Brown and Wara and those draft picks for Siakam, we had to waive Christian at the same time. And that's when we lost rights to him. He was a free agent after that. And there were a couple tells in the last year from a couple people that he was not going to come back to the Raptors. That Masai saying at the end of the year that Christian's a mistake. Okay, I'll admit to it. He was a mistake. But how are you supposed to know about health and this happening to him? And then also Christian himself in an interview with a reporter in Arizona saying he's looking forward to being on his next team. Kind of gave the tell right away. See, I listen to what they're saying. And Nick Nurse, when he said at that press conference in Philly about how he is looking forward to vacation before the play-in, yeah, it's the order of how he says it. And I have a stream earlier this year where I go off on Christian in an interview saying, yeah, you're telling us that you're not coming back to the Raptors. I wanted to believe that that wasn't true for this whole year because we saw him at Summer League with Masai and the team. But it was, and he had already decided this. And this is probably all in the works. In some ways, I would say I wouldn't put it past LeBron, Rich Paul, and Clutch for having collusion on trying to get this all set up to get to this point, even from last year when they heard that he was going to be out with his injury. Now, Mike has said, Logical Raptors fanatic, has said that, yeah, what that's not in the best interest of Rich Paul and his client if they taint him with a health problem. But this is a really weird roundabout way to get him loose from the Raptors and put him in a Lakers jersey. So, yeah, he's a Laker. As of yesterday, he signed a 1-year, two-way contract with them yesterday, according to Trevor J. Yeah, let's see. Fiercely saying, last comment on Koloko, kind of not surprised. We did see lots of sightings in LA during the past year. Guess it was a sign. All good. Let's now focus on our new core and team. Exciting things coming. Yeah, I'd rather have Bruno Fernando than Koloko at this point because Bruno is a beefier, bigger center with more proven NBA experience. He's going to be better on rebounds than Christian in some ways, and he's just more solid. And Shamshe, the potential for him is off the charts. And in some ways, we've got a different Cameroonian that we're going to put all our energy and training and development into instead of this guy. In some ways, Christian couldn't work with us. He's been on the shelf for a year. And like some people in this chat have said, they don't trust him and where he's at with things as far as him only playing 1 year for us. And it was a screwed up year his rookie year. The last year of Nick Nurse, confusing, and Nick Nurse mismanaged him and didn't develop him right. And now he's had a second year where he's been on the shelf and he hasn't even been playing. So there's still a lot of mistakes, a lot of things he's going to do that are going to go wrong. And I hope that the Laker Nation's nice to him because they are very unforgiving. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. Fiercely saying that smooth. Bruce Brown is not that bad. I've grown to appreciate him now that there's a clearer picture and position within or the team, giving him a chance. Yeah. And I got to really commend him for showing up for stuff this summer and being a part of the team and being a real one. So whatever happens with Bruce, I no hate, man. Seriously, I was confused about you. In some ways, I feel like you're a nonchalant, weird guy and your cowboy motif and kind of things. But, you know, you talking about Timbits, him loving like certain things, ice caps or whatever. And then also, you know, the fact that he was hurt and we didn't see the real full Bruce Brown. And he said he wants to come back and show the real Bruce Brown to us. So we'll see him this year. Let's give him another chance. How about that? How about that? That's right. G saying, how did the Lakers manage this with their roster situation? How is Clutch allowed to operate knowing they are clearly biased to help the Lakers and LeBron? I know. In some ways, it's like, look, there's antitrust laws in a lot of industries, but certain politicians want to break them up. You know, we have environmental regulations and oversight committees to stop collusion and weird shit. This is why senators and Congress people should not be trading stocks, because they have insider information and stuff. We need people to have more insight. In some ways, there's nobody watching the hen house. The fox is going in the hen house and robbing. So this is part of it right here. And in some ways, I don't know how you build this collusion on this. The situation with LeBron is unique. It's never ever been a situation like this in the history of the NBA. And this has been a problem for years now, for a couple years now. I brought it up over and over again. And well, it's reared its ugly head once again in this situation with Christian Coloco. It is what it is. It is what it is. These people are going to do what they're going to do. And in some ways, well, we got to keep our heads up and just keep moving forward. And well, so be it, Christian. You made your decision. So be it. And that's all I'll say about that. That's right. Smooth saying at Fiercely, yes, you might be right. I hope he can be a positive influence on our young guys. Bruce Brown has only been on playoff teams as of late, though. Yeah, I think that Bruce, once again, he's got a championship. He's kind of like, he's enjoying his career. He's enjoying his life. He probably has a good sensibility about things and a good perspective, but he's also shown very professionalism. That's the thing. In some ways, he may not have wanted to come to Toronto, but he's showing a good face that he's enjoying it. He's embracing it. And he's making the best of it. So I'm going to give him another chance. I was very hard on him at the end of last year without really kind of understanding that his knee was a real problem. So let's see how things go this year with him. And who knows? Who knows what could happen with him? I think that once again, he'll probably get traded at some point during the season. And if not, at the end of the year, his money comes off the books and the Raptors have a lot of flexibility for themselves next summer. So that's part of it right there. Wayne saying Clutch seems to be doing such great disservice to its clients. How can going to LA develop a young player needing guidance? This is not about the Raptors. It's all about the future of a young player. There you go. Wayne wants to think about Christian himself as a person. Yeah, it's showing like when Phil Handy is leaving the Lakers as of last week, he'd be a great person for Christian to work with. But no, Phil Handy's leaving. He's not going to be on the Lakers staff this year. So, I totally agree with this. In some ways, Christian, you're really maybe blinded by stardom with LeBron and getting the chance to play with LeBron. And maybe you feel like these are blessings and stuff, but you may be completely wrong. And this may be a very seriously bad choice that you just made yesterday. And, well, all we can do as Raptor freaks is sit back, get the popcorn, and watch and see how things evolve over time and see what the outcome is. But, yeah, this is not a good team for development. This is not a good team for coveting or taking care and being responsible with their players either. They have screwed people over left and right. The family atmosphere here in Toronto that you were around, Christian, does not exist in LA. I'm going to tell you that right now. There's only one family that matters there, and it's Clutch. And that family is you. But in some ways, your Clutch members have been screwed over there even within next to LeBron. So, yeah. Okay, you go ahead, Christian. Make your choice. That's right. That's right. G saying Lakers have a history of trading their young up-and-coming players. They have a huge list. If they end up trading him, Rich Paul completely does do this to his clients a disservice. Yeah. In some ways, that's the gross thing about it. It's like, oh, you're in the same company as LeBron. But honestly, in some ways, it really is like a kingdom. And everybody else in Clutch is a serf. And there's only one king. And in some ways, if you don't serve the king, well, you're in trouble. Trust me, you're in trouble. Yeah. Kareem said March Jackson. It is September. It is September Jackson, actually. September. That's right. March Jackson. I love that. That's kind of funny. All right, let me see. Where am I? Okay, I got to get back to the right spot. There you go. Let's see. Tommy's got the eagle out. I don't know. That's a weird one. David, thank you for adjudicating. David saying, I feel bad. Seems like Kareem is on his phone. Laugh out loud. I mean, autocorrect is a bane in the Raptor Freak trivia world. In some ways, y'all got to hit that live button and make sure your autocorrect is not going to screw you up. Let's see. David's saying we need a seagull emoji up in here. So that's why you did the eagle, because you want to do a seagull. Yeah, we need a seagull emoji. Come on now. I don't know. Don't change one of our emojis out, Tom, to make a seagull though. Keep them Raptors. Andrew saying Coloco got me feeling like I just got back with my ex and then she left me for another guy. Man, let's not even do this. It's not like that. In some ways, Christian, we've been doing fine. Not doing fine, but we've been missing him and him not being around. In some ways, I'm glad that this has all been sussed out and figured out. And there's no big, huge question mark over Christian Coloco like there has been for like a year and a half now. And I'm just like, whatever. Okay, fine. I don't have to talk about him anymore other than when we play the Lakers. And well, maybe we see what happens to him down the road. That's all I'll be talking about him. And to me, he's just another player in the league at this point and not a Raptor. So that's just where it goes right there. Smooth saying that portrayal of Jerry West was criminal, man. It was wrong. And in some ways, it's sad that he had to see that before he died. It was so wrong, the way that they portrayed Jerry West in Winning Time. And, man, you don't disrespect the logo like that. And the guy has had such a huge impact in the NBA in so many different ways. And in some ways, it just shows a callousness and an insensitivity. No, I get it. Jerry West was crazy when he was a GM. He has been very much those kind of behaviors. But this is the thing. Once again, Winning Time. If you're going to do a series that's cartoonish and is not totally being serious, and then you're going to try and indict a man for being a rage-filled, crazy man as a GM, that's just not right. You need to pick what your style is and one style only. You want to do a Farrelly Brothers comedy thing like Step Brothers and make that show that, go full into that. And don't try and fucking condescend to me that you're trying to teach me societal issues at the same time. That's the problem right there. You're wearing too many hats, Winning Time. And either you're a cartoon or you're a serious documentary like Clipped that's kind of trying to tell the story for real with a dramatic effect and no little cheap fucking jokes, sex jokes or fart jokes or all that kind of shit that y'all were doing on there. Seriously. Yeah, it was criminal, Smooth. You're exactly right. David's saying, shit, I'll do his fucking laundry for a condo in a Bentley. Where do I sign? Well, you got to be attractive to him also. In some ways, he does like the eye candy, even if he's not tasting the candy. He did like the eye candy, and he did like having pretty women around him. And the other thing is, in some ways, Donald Sterling was sleeping around on his wife. Don't get it twisted. It's just that she in particular was not doing it with him. And in some ways, you know, there was a special connection between V and Donald Sterling that was beyond gold digging. It was very much they were best friends, and that he absolutely relied on her to take care of his day-to-day schedule and keeping him organized. So he really was using her as a personal assistant, and he wasn't actually sleeping with her. So it's kind of like she was eye candy, really nice to look at and like very helpful. And in some ways, he got the jollies of being like an 80-year-old man riding around in a fast car with a really hot girl all the time. So it was that kind of thing. Now, he had other women that he was cheating on his wife with and getting all kinds of stuff. And that is shown in the series also. So he wasn't a saint. It's just that in their particular situation, it was not sexual, which is very interesting and very, very interesting. And that, you know, we all assumed from the story that she was just sleeping with him, but no. And the other thing I assumed was the controversy was over taking Magic Johnson to a Clippers game. No, it was going to, it was taking a picture with Magic Johnson at a Dodgers game. That was the whole controversy. And they kind of set up the whole thing and made it more clear why it went down. And it's ridiculous what Donald Sterling was saying to him. And it was totally racist. And it was totally messed up. And because it was Magic, that even made it a bigger deal and stuff like that. I mean, it's an interesting, really, really interesting series. And they do the whole thing where they have the interviews where V and also Mrs. Sterling did Barbara Walters. And they had a woman playing Barbara Walters in it. And then they had Donald Sterling talking to Anderson Cooper also. And these are famous interviews you can watch in real life. And they recreated them with the actors. And of course, Donald Sterling did his interview with Anderson Cooper to say he wasn't a racist while they were in the middle of the playoff series with the Thunder. And it totally screwed things up. And that was part of the reason why Adam Silver called the referees and said, y'all need to make the Clippers lose because this is getting out of hand. There's all this stupid shit happening on cable TV with Anderson Cooper and Donald Sterling. And this story needs to go away. The story needs to go away. So that's a big part of it right there. That's a big, big part of it right there. Nako's saying, I'm always on my phone. You're always on your phone, Nako? Okay. G saying, Koloko was in a lot of foul trouble with us. Will be interesting to see his whistle now he's with the Lakers. Yeah. Let's see if he gets a kinder whistle. Let's also see if he shows up on the block leaders all of a sudden, because he should have been considered in the leaders of blocks his rookie year with the Raptors, but they disqualified him with minimum amount of games. They kept not showing him on the list. His average was good enough to be top 10 in blocks in the NBA. So all of a sudden, if you start seeing Christian Koloko in the blocks leader in the NBA, yeah, that's bullshit, especially if he only plays as much as he did in Toronto. I'll say that right there. Yeah, let's see. And he probably will be in foul trouble, but we'll see how much. And maybe they'll look the other way, and maybe Braun's politicking for him. Name was saying, I wonder how much playing time Koloko will even get. It's a two-way deal, which is interesting in itself. I know. I'm shocked by that. I didn't know that until Trevor put that in at the beginning of the chat today. I did not know that until just now. In some ways, that's worse than the contract he had with the Raptors. He was not on a two-way here. And that's showing that the Lakers are not totally sure that he's going to work out. The fact that it's also a one-year term, that's showing that there's still a lot of risk because of his health issues. So that's very interesting in some kinds of way. He has a door open for him. He has hopefully a clearing. That's the other thing. They haven't technically cleared him to be able to play. They're anticipating it. So I don't know. People asking why if the Lakers didn't have room to do this, how were they able to do this? Well, I think that they are actually going in the tax for this. I don't know. I don't know all the finer details of how they managed to do this. It could very well be they're paying Christian peanuts. And it's hardly anything. And who are they cutting? Who's the roster person leaving? That's part of it. Lakers Nation is not totally sure what the fuck happened and how they made room to do this. The people that are in the know with the team are like, how did we do this? Who's going away? They're asking the same questions as us. So, yeah, I have no idea how they work this out. In some ways, we may need Logical Raptors fanatic to circle back and explain it to us how the Lakers were able to do this magic move yesterday. Yeah. Let's see. David saying, I was about to say the same thing earlier, G. He will be much better in LA. No foul trouble, which was an issue in Toronto, obviously. I think big men like him are going to have foul trouble. But once again, there was stuff that was called on Christian in his rookie year on the Raptors. There was not fouls, and it was just them taking blocks away from him. So that happened quite a bit, actually, in his very early career. They were taxing him in certain ways, whether it was taxing him for being from Cameroon, taxing him for being on the Raptors, taxing him. They didn't want him to be in the leaders of blocks, and they took blocks away from him while he was on the Toronto team and called fouls on him instead. They were clean blocks, guys. I saw them with my own two eyes. They were clean blocks. Cool Cat saying, I love Lawrence Fishburne's acting skills. Very underrated in the industry. Range and versatility for sure. Man, he made me like Doc Rivers, and that's an acting skill in its own. He made me like Doc Rivers, and that is not – that's saying a lot right there. Seriously, that's saying a lot. Let's see. Nako saying, I think Koloko came out of college as a good shot blocker and underrated passer. He's probably not getting into as much foul trouble. Real life Blake Griffin is into stand-up. Okay, yeah. Let's see. All right. I'll deal with the first comment first since they're very different. Yeah, he's a very good shot blocker. He's a defensive player of the year in the Pac-10. I don't know if his passing is good as you're saying. You say he's an underrated passer. I don't believe that. In some ways, I didn't see a whole lot of signs of him being an above average or a great passer. In some ways, I saw him losing the ball in certain ways and having problems with his hands at times. He's probably not going to get – he may get more favor on the Lakers. We'll have to see. In some ways, we shouldn't jump ahead on this. But, yeah, Blake Griffin's a comedian. He tries to be funny. He's appeared in movies. He's appeared on a lot of late-night TV shows. In fact, they allude to this in the Clip series. The rest of the Clippers team is making fun of Blake for going on Letterman or Jimmy Kimmel or something like that and making fun of Donald Sterling, the racist situation, which he did do at that time. And in some ways, the guys were kind of like, you let them use you and make you a fool on stage and making a light of our owner's racism. And, yeah, it's really, really interesting to see the portrayal of the players and reacting to the whole situation throughout the whole thing, like them getting mad at Doc because they feel like he knew about the racist rant and he let them play. And then also them getting mad at Donald Sterling for going on Anderson Cooper and saying that his players all love him. And they're like, no, we don't, you motherfucker. And they start throwing shit at the TV. It's so good, man. You guys need to watch it. Seriously. It's really, really good series. Highly recommended by this guy right here. Yeah. Wayne saying, totally get the waiving of Koloko. However, that decision was based on medical directive from the NBA. Don't tell me that is not special circumstances that require unique protocol exemptions. Screwy. Yeah, especially when we see it used for other people around the league like Chet Holmgren. Maybe it's because Chet's a very high-end pick and a lot of money's invested in him. Maybe because Christian's more small potatoes, small peanuts. There's no distinction for dealing with this. It seems like just like there's injury reserve list, there should be a special spot for guys that are in this weird limbo that Christian was in this past year or so. The fitness to play panel is not letting him play. So why do we have to carry him on a roster with salary and also a roster spot? That's just very detrimental to us. In some ways, that smacks of the injustices that the NBA has done towards the Raptors, the whole entire existence, whether it's not letting them have a top pick and Allen Iverson or any of the other bullshit that has happened throughout our history. In some ways, that's what this smacks of, is special treatment for our particular franchise, being the Canadian franchise, and not allowing us to have a special medical spot for Christian in this situation. And I agree with Wayne on this. This is screwy. This is screwy. Andrew's saying Laker fans are going to expect Koloko to be good right away, then hate on him when he is. I think that's exactly right. Andrew. Fiercely saying Lex's impression. You like my Darth Vader LeBron? Oh, Tommy, you challenged me there, and I tried to do it. I don't know. Gerald, did I do all right with my improv this morning, Jerry? Oh, my gosh. Nako saying a real good show at humanizing the lowest of the low is Black Mirror. Oh, man, that show is amazing. Black Mirror is a really good show. I can't highly recommend that show. That's a 5 out of 5 for me. I know that they continue to make episodes I probably haven't seen, but some of the very early episodes, like that one with Ron Howard's daughter, with the social media episode, is so impactful and is so like true. It's crazy where that people have ratings on social media and they have access to different things in society depending on their rating. Like you can't come into this country club because your social media has gone down and you interact with people and they can like downgrade you while you're talking to them because they're like not happy with you. It's such a crazy, crazy show. Black Mirror, so many good episodes. And that one with Blythe Howard or whatever, Ron Howard's daughter, I forget her name. That is such a good episode in itself right there. Yeah, let's see. Sue saying, haha, you love my Darth LeBron. It was silly. I don't know. Tom saying, didn't know that about Wood's surgery. Yeah, Christian Wood's an idiot. We've known this for a couple of seasons, and I'm not even saying this as a Laker fan or anything. He has been a jerk on many teams he's been on. He was exiled from Dallas for this reason. He's been exiled from Detroit for this reason. And, well, Christian's not a team player, obviously. He's not very smart, obviously. He could have had this surgery at the end of the season last year, but he decided to have surgery last week, and he's going to miss the first 2 or 3 months of the season. And Lakers fans hate him for it. In fact, in some ways, LeBron's really mad at him for it too. So, yeah, Christian Wood, good job. And delaying your surgery until right before the season's supposed to start and not being ready for the season. I don't know if this is on purpose, but yeah, you're an idiot, honestly. But you're an idiot for the Lakers, and I'll accept that and I'll appreciate it. Yeah, there you go. Andrew saying, rest in peace, James Earl Jones. The voice of Darth Vader passed away recently. Yeah, we noted this the other day, but I will once again say that this is an amazing actor. This is an amazing voice actor, obviously. His voice, very important in the Star Wars series, very important in The Lion King, and just all kinds of really obscure, weird stuff he did. You know, James Earl Jones did some really interesting work. He was in the Conan series, and he played a very crazy, like wizard. You know, he's in all kinds of weird places you wouldn't expect it would just pop up. In fact, he was in that series we talked about earlier with LeVar Burton. I believe he was in Roots also. So, you know, he's been in so many important things throughout the history of time as far as in media. And James Earl Jones is an icon, and he always will be. And we celebrate his life with his passing this past week for sure. He's amazing. We'll never forget James Earl Jones. He's an amazing, amazing actor, and he's in that category with Lawrence Fishburne. But in some ways he's a guy that Lawrence Fishburne very much probably looked up to, very, 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 very much. That's right. Tom's saying, who's going to be the new voice for CNN? I don't know. Maybe they've got him recorded and they'll just keep using him. I have no idea. In some ways, I don't care. CNN's a cesspool of garbage anyway. Let's see. David's dapping on Jeff Bezos. What? Don't dap Jeff Bezos. Hey, Mo's here. Good morning, Rapid Free Crew. Good morning to the super fan Monique Lawrence. Now, Mo did it again, guys. You know what happens? We do a Share the Love Club on somebody, and Mo's letting them know. We know Jeff Landicho of Open Gym fame found out about his Share the Love Club from us when we did it. Well, Mo did it again. She sent the link to Eric Smith after we did the show yesterday. And you know what? Eric circled back and messaged me, guys. He wrote me a very nice message yesterday. I'll just read it for you guys real quick. Eric Smith, you're awesome. Eric Smith of the Fan 590, our radio broadcaster. This is what Eric has said to me in the chat. He sent it directly to me on Instagram. Alexi, Monique Lawrence passed along a YouTube link to your latest show. I wanted to drop you a line and say thanks. I appreciate the love. All the best, man. Let's hope for a big year from the Raptors. Thanks again for your kind words. Eric Smith. Look at that. Mo put me on blast with the people we're sharing love for, and he felt it, guys. I hope he did come in and actually watch the show. And, I will say this, Eric. I know you're a busy guy. And if you do want to catch the Raptor stream on the regular, watch me at 1.5 or 1.75 speed. It'll make it go by faster because I usually do 2 hours every single day. And I'm about at 2 hours right now on this one. But Mo, you did it again. Mo flexing that muscle and showing us who she knows. And, well, Eric Smith's in her Rolodex. And, well, he's aware of the Raptor Freak channel now. And he's appreciating the love from the Raptor Freaks yesterday, guys. So thanks everybody who came in and said nice things about Eric. He heard them. Let's just say that. He heard them. Yeah, Mo's an all-star, always MVP for us. That's right. Mike is here. Good to see Mike. Let's see what he's saying right here. The fact Koloko took a two-way, something isn't 100%. Let's go, Mike. Mike, I need you, my guy. Come on, Mike. You got to explain how the hell the Lakers did this and the minutia of the moving and the money and the spot and the roster and how the fuck did they do this? Laker fans are wondering the same thing. So if you can figure it out, Mike, oh man, as always, I love you, bro. You're always doing good stuff for this channel. And man, you just know your stuff. But yeah, something's not right, right? Something's not right. Was there a special exception made for the Lakers for this to happen somehow, some way? I don't trust it. I don't trust it. Brian's here, y'all. Brian King from To The Point, T.O. The Point, a great Raptors YouTube channel, talking Raptors all the time. We love you, Brian. I hope you had a fantastic birthday this weekend. And yes, let's say happy birthday to Brian once again, y'all, Freak Nation. What's up? Hope y'all are having a great day. I ain't hungover. All right, Brian, I'm glad you went easy on yourself. And yeah, let's get out there and get that sunshine and touch grass once again, Brian. You know what? Take another birthday, my guy. Go out there and do nice things for yourself once again today and act like, let's just say it's your birthday weekend, my guy. So get out there and do something nice. Go have a meal that you love, Brian, and talk to somebody that you love. Call them up on the phone and say, hey, I miss you, and I haven't talked to you in a while, and I just want to catch up with you, and I had a great birthday. Just do whatever you got to do, Brian, and let's make this whole weekend a birthday for you and for Wayne. Why not? Let's do that. Always happy to see Brian in the chat, man. Tom's saying, hope you had a great birthday, Brian. Let's go. That's right, Brian. He's not hungover, so at least he hydrated. That's good. That's good. Andrew's saying, damn, realistically, Shamshe isn't that far from Koloko's skill, and Shamshe is 6 years younger. I mean, that's easy to point to, Andrew, in some ways. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say that Shamshe physically is further along than Koloko, that he has more of a man's body. He has an NBA body already coming in the league, just like Scotty did. So in some ways, that's a big plus. That's a big bonus. And then when you think the age and you think the aptitude and you think the willingness and you think the drive, well, this kid can be very, very special in the few years to come. So yeah, Shamshe, yeah, he's got more up here and here than Koloko. And in some ways, he's not as much of a project. In some ways, he's more of a sure bet in certain ways, as long as we handle him correctly. And with our track record of developing people here in Toronto and with Darko as being our head coach now at this point, yeah, he's in good shape. He's in a good place for this. Yeah, Brian's saying, thanks, Tom. You got to make an emoji of me laughing my ass off. Yeah, maybe you could make Brian for a little while on our stream. A little bit of Brian, celebrate Brian and To The Point a little bit there. Yeah. Tommy saying, okay, Brian, I'll have it next year. A year. In what way, Mike? The moolah never makes sense to me with all the different types of contracts, restrictions to player contracts and NBA trade rules. That's what I'm saying. Mike is the kind of guy that will go through the player agreements, all the stuff that comes out with the NBA. If it's a big, huge book, and it has a lot of little sections and things, Mike is in there, just like Blake Murphy. There's a few people that I trust with salary cap and roster stuff. And Blake Murphy is the bona fide one on the inside with the media. And Mike is our own personal friend that is involved in the channel that does the same stuff. So, yeah, Mike probably can go through documents and NBA stuff and find the rules section that says that this and this and this. And that's how he can rationalize and tell us. A lot of his archive on his channel has this kind of stuff in it. It really is something that he is on top of, and he's very skilled at explaining in a simple way. So I don't know, maybe Mike has to do some research to find out what the hell and how the Lakers were able to pull this move off. And hopefully he'll circle back and share that information with us, guys. So yeah, I don't know. In some ways, it does seem fishy, especially from what Mike was describing yesterday about the Lakers roster situation right now, not being flexible enough to do this. So what was the special provision? What was the special thing that allowed it? That's what I'm wondering. Andrew saying, I love Boucher, but he jumps at every pump fake. It's kind of frustrating. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. You know, Chris, I'm really going to be interested to see what he's going to be like this year. He's put in so much work this year. I mean, in some ways, this summer has been a real, like, not even stopping every single day. Chris Boucher is working. And this is going to be interesting to see. Is Chris going to have a new kind of thing to him because he put in so much work this summer? Like, could there be some sort of weird Chris Boucher renaissance on the Raptors this year? Because first of all, Darko has more confidence in him, and he does see part of how he can use them in certain ways. And second of all, is it because Chris is coming back more skilled and more ready and more veteran and more on top of it because he put that work in the offseason? Because there's no denying Chris Boucher has been working very, very hard this summer. In fact, he may be the Raptor that put in the most time in the gym this summer. I have no idea for sure, but it sure does seem like that from social media is what I'll say right there. Yeah. Mike's saying maybe Koloko bet on himself. Maybe he didn't like the numbers from the other teams. Well, if it's a two-way and it's only 1 year, Mike, that doesn't really – it's not an attractive contract. What if the Raptors – because we have all our two-ways held up already. We're going to give them a full contract, a real contract, and not a two-way contract. That's what's interesting to me. I'm also speculating maybe the Raptors were thrown into the tweet by Shams just to save face that, you know, in some ways we weren't involved and interested in him and talking to him. That maybe that is a sham in itself, Shams. That Rich Paul is like, well, Raptors Nation is going to be mad at Koloko if we don't say they were one of the suitors. But they aren't. We know they've lied about this kind of shit with Masai before. They've used Masai's name and our front office as leverage in certain ways in certain situations. So I don't trust Clutch to the point where they're saying they're 4 candidates for Christian to go to were the Spurs, the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Raptors. But we know this summer that they never offered a contract to Gary Trent once, that they let him walk, and everybody was speculating that. So what could it be that the Raptors actually didn't send an offer to Koloko and Rich Paul only included them on the list to save face so that the Raptors Nation isn't pissed off because he is not considering coming back here? Maybe we didn't even have a consideration of bringing him back in the first place. Because in some ways, we saw we have the MLE available. And maybe Masai and Bobby are like, he's too much a health risk. We can't put the mid-level exception on him because that's too much money. And we see the Lakers throwing a two-way and a 1-year deal on him. It's a risk assessment partly with Christian. We have to think about it that way too. It's very, very interesting. Andrew's saying apparently Bruce was playing hurt last year. Yeah, he was. He wasn't 100%. His knee was an issue. So let's see if there's a difference here. Nameless saying prices for food are so outrageous right now. My diet is restricted to hard-boiled eggs, yogurt, and some cheese in the morning. Well, that sounds like a pretty healthy meal in some ways. I can't eat the dairy, but, you know, I eat those hard-boiled eggs just like you, Nameless. You know, that's why I'm just denying corporate everything. I'm not going to Loblaws, Zehrs, any of their grocery stores anymore. I go to independent grocery, and out where I live now, there's farmers on the side of the street selling it straight from their yard. So I will go see them instead. In some ways, let's cut out some of the bullshit. If you can go and source your food for yourself out of your own garden, that's fantastic. Do that and be more self-sufficient. And let's get back to the grassroots of things. Let's have community level organizing between farmers markets and just generally get to know your neighbors. Maybe they're growing stuff and they have an abundance for it, and you could buy real cheap stuff off of them. So I'm telling you, this is something that everybody needs to be thinking about more and more. Part of the big fraud is that we have gone in our generations from our grandparents being able to have a garden that fed them a huge amount of their money, a huge amount of their food, to now we're a very independent are very dependent on the grocery stores for feeding ourselves because nobody got learned how to farm or grow their own food in their garden. We need to go back to that. So if you have children, teach your kids how to grow their own food. That may be one of the most important things you do to help them in the future. Because I'm telling you, Bill Gates and other very, very rich people are starting to hedge the market on food production. And they're buying up farmlands and they're buying up things and they're trying to, and they will try and raise costs on us in really fucked up ways. And it's already happening. So the more self-sufficient we are and the more we're together as a community and Xing them out and not even having them involved in the transaction, the better. Trust me. You could do it yourself, do it. If you can't, go find the person that's like you and give them the profits. And they probably have a very good price that is way better than the grocery store because they're just getting it from their yard and they have no middleman. You're not paying for transportation. You're not paying for the gas that's driving the stuff to the grocery store from wherever to wherever. No, cut all them middlemen out. Grow it yourself or get it from your neighbor is what I'm saying right here. Yeah. Andrew's saying, shout out to Bruce for being professional. He really has been. There were a couple times this summer he showed up to Raptors stuff. And I'm like, Bruce is in. Bruce is in with us. He came to the signing for Scotty and Emmanuel. When they did their extension signings, Bruce was sitting in the front row watching two of our franchise pillars of the barbecue getting their big contract signed. Bruce didn't have to come to Toronto and be involved in that, but he did. He came and he showed up and he showed a commitment and of being there for that. That says a lot right there, that Bruce Brown was sitting next to Grady Dick and Davion Mitchell at the signings of Scotty Barnes and Emmanuel Quickley's extensions this summer. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, I would have preferred Pacers or Spurs to get Koloko, if not Raptors, because he would get a firm foundation. Lakers gambled and signed him in advance of NBA clearance. I can understand Koloko and Fam. Yeah, listen, I'm with you, Cool Cat. He would have been way better off joining Siakam, but Pacers were not on the list. I don't think Pacers were involved in this at all. They named the 4 teams, and it was us, the Spurs, and the 2 LA teams they were considering. Spurs would have been way better for him, way, way better for him. And it's too bad he's not with Pop. And in some ways, the Spurs Nation, it would have been nice to see him in a Spurs jersey. I would have liked that way, way more too. But yeah, we got to understand collusion, Clutch, Rich Paul, LeBron. It's all right there in front of us. I mean, seriously, I called this a year ago. Once again, we can go back in my archive, and I said this a year ago. If Christian Koloko somehow finds his way on the Lakers all of a sudden, we know some fucked up shit happened. Is what I'm going to say right there. Fristy saying happy birthday to Wayne. I love it. Tom saying you're awesome, Wayne. Have a great, awesome year, sir. There you go. I love it. Most saying Koloko's going to have an ugly time on the Lakers. Shaking my head. Woo! We know Monique knows her basketball, and she's predicting this too. She's like, "Ooh, he's going to have an ugly time on the Lakers." That's what Mo's saying. I'm going to give Mo a dunk real quick for coming in and being in the live today. We love you, Mo, so much. And man, we got to ride together because we're Raptors freaks. We're Raptors fans, and we love the Raptors so much. 165 from Monique, 165 on the dunk charts. That's right. Tommy's shaking his head with Monique and Darko with the fire eyes. Jeesh. Let's see what else we got in this chat today. Good stuff. Andrew saying Koloko's touch around the rim is very raw. He's going to have a hard time developing in LA with the lack of touches he's going to get. He might be limited to just catching lobs and blocking shots. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to totally predict what's going to happen with him. Like Cool Cat just said, they are signing him ahead of him being officially cleared. So who knows? Wouldn't this be weird if Rob Pelinka messed up because he pulled the trigger too early and Koloko all of a sudden is not cleared by the fitness to play? It could. I mean, I don't want that for Koloko. I want him to be able to resume his career, but there's no guarantees. There are no guarantees. And who knows if, like, once again, they're going to be monitoring him and wondering what's going to happen, if they can reoccur. He could be. There's no guarantees with him. And Mobby and Messiah are like, yeah, we don't want this. We don't like this. We don't want to get in a bad situation later on where we're investing big money in this guy or time in him, and it's just going to go all the way once again because the doctors are saying he can't play. So in some ways, this may be a very calculated thing by Messiah and Bobby. And well, at this point, I'm saying I'm glad we got Bruno. And I'm glad we got Shamshay coming up underneath too. Yeah. Mike's saying Koloko will only be allowed to play 50 NBA games this year. Maybe Koloko isn't at the same level he was. I mean, the eye test with his workouts recently, he looks right, but in some ways we don't know. They're showing all the best stuff about him, so we don't know. But you're right, Mike. That's the rule with the two-way, and he may have to play a lot of the games at the beginning of the season, and then he might not have eligibility by the end of the year. Man, the way the Lakers discard people, Christian, I hope, man, in some ways you may have really screwed up your career, my guy. Yeah, Tom's saying no playoffs for Koloko. Probably not. But that I think that may not be because of the two-way status. It just may be because of the Lakers and their standings. Yeah, yeah. Nameless saying the yak barbecue. Yeah, it's the barbecue yak starting lineup, and we'll just see if that yak has a dick or it's brown. Yeah, that's. I mean, I know I just made a dick joke, but that's what we got to do here. It's like a barbecue: Barnes, Barrett, and Quickly, and yak. That's our starting lineup for sure. A barbecue yak, and well, will that yak be brown? Or will it be a Grady? let's say Dick. But yeah. Let's see. Tom's saying even if they could make it, yeah, that's what I'm saying, Tommy. If they get to the playoffs, unless they convert Christian, which they may not have the money to, even realistically. I mean, where's the end path here, Christian? With the Lakers, where's the end path? Are you going to just do so well that they're going to be like, wow, throw money at him, and he's going to be a big part of our future? Maybe that could happen. We'll have to see. Love to see. Yeah, Mike's saying, yeah, no playoffs. They could convert Koloko if they make a trade, but even that isn't 100%. So that's what it's saying. Mike's saying, all right, if they have the two-way deal like this and it's low money and it's not affecting the cap in the way that he said it wouldn't be impossible, maybe they can't have the flexibility of converting him down the road either. And I wonder if Rich Paul told his client that before he made the decision to sign with the Lakers, or he just said, no, come play with LeBron, man. You're clutch. We got to stick together. Clutch, man. Come on, clutch. Yeah. Fiercely saying, where can we see the players' agents? I'm curious to see if Roy Hashimura is with Clutch and if he'll make it to the second full year. Well, they're already shopping him. They're shopping D'Angelo. They're shopping Austin Reeves, and they're shopping Roy Hashimura, according to things. And then this is the part of what Mike's trying to say, is they need to trade one of these guys who have a salary hold on the Lakers salary cap to make room to allow for the room for this. So in some ways, they're actively pushing around, looking to see if anybody's interested in them. They wanted to trade Russell first. That's the person they really want to get rid of, is D'Lo. But nobody's biting, which is not surprising. And more people would be interested in Reeves and Hashimura. But knowing Pelinka, he probably doesn't like what he's seeing, the offers coming back the other way. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Fiercely saying, which website, please? I don't know where that is. I don't know. I think that you could probably find this if you just Google it. I've found a spreadsheet like this before where it kind of lists different people in their agencies. Maybe it is on Basketball Reference somewhere. I'm not totally sure. There's another site that's like Basketball References, like GM Reference or something, that may have it. Maybe somebody else can go look for it right now and find it for her. But I do think this does exist. I think I've seen it before. Yeah. Let's see. Mike's saying Clutch has a page with all their clients. Yeah, that's probably the best place if you just want to look at specifically Clutch and see who's with them, is just go to Clutch's website. Roy is not Clutch. Yeah, that makes sense. Mike's saying the Lakers are waiving an existing two-way and signing Koloko on a two-way. Two ways have no effect on the salary cap. Okay, so that's how they did it. They got rid of their existing two-ways. They just waived the guy and gave the two-way that they were going to give that other guy. I don't even know who it is. Mike, do you know the name of the guy they waived to do this? Maybe it's somebody like Max Christie or something like that. I don't know. Mike's saying 50 NBA game limit and no playoffs on two ways. That's right. We know about that. Brian's saying, yeah, F Rich Paul. Check my last short where I said he's ruining the league. There you go, Brian. I like you being out there for Project Truth. Mike has championed a thing called Project Truth. As Raptors content makers, it's good for us to tell the truth outside of possibly sometimes the mainstream media and the broadcast teams. Maybe there's some things that they can't talk about because they're inside the machine. Well, we'll talk about it as YouTube creators that are independent. And that's what I'm saying, Brian. Fight the good fight and Project Truth. And if you want to come at Rich Paul, you go ahead. But a lot of people that are on Sportsnet and TSN, they won't do it because they don't want to anger the machine. But we'll do it as a grassroots. How about that? There you go. Thank you to Logical and from Fiercey. And Andrew's saying James Earl Jones signed a contract to allow AI to use his voice for future Darth Vader screenings. That's awesome. In some ways, that's part of the way he'll live on. In some ways, that's only right. I know in most ways I don't like AI, but I like this arrangement. In some ways, it's easy because it's sci-fi. And of course, it's iconic. You can't have Darth Vader sound different all of a sudden in some ways. And that's really cool of him to do that. In some ways, that's part of the way he will live on as a legend. So yeah, in some ways, in some of these kind of things that would piss me off hearing something like this, but this one makes sense. And in some ways, the technology is being used in the right way for this, because Darth Vader needs to be James Earl Jones. I'm sorry. If they started using another actor somewhere, it just wouldn't be right. In some ways, it wouldn't be bona fide. It wouldn't be accepted by Star Wars fans. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, Mike's saying Clutch only has Braun and AD and Bronny on the Lakers. Not gonna lie, the list isn't impressive. It's like Fox, Draymond, Levine are the next best guys they have. Laugh out loud. Well, let's look at these guys for a second. All right, you're saying they've got Koloko, Braun, and Bronny, and Anthony Davis as their main clients on the Lakers. Okay. Now, De'Aaron Fox, okay, he's done pretty good with the Sacramentos. That's fine. Draymond, well, the collusion between LeBron and Draymond has been there for a couple of years now, between their buddy and friendship and stuff like that. And in some ways, I've been fully expecting Draymond to jump ship to the Lakers at some point, but it still hasn't happened. It's crazy that Clay jumped ship first, and now he's on the Mavericks. But Draymond is still on the Warriors, especially with the punch to Jordan Poole and the toxicness of Draymond Green, that the Warriors are still not ready to move on from it. And you'd think the friendship of LeBron and Draymond would just make sense that he would show up in a Lakers uniform. So that's interesting. Levine is a mess. Zach Levine, in some ways, has not been utilized very well. His career is in the toilet. And, well, that's a good symptom of a very high-level player that is not in a good place with his career in any kind of way. And the fact that the Bulls cannot move Zach Levine right now shows just how bad his stock is. Nobody wants him for the contract that he got. So Rich Paul stole him some money, but nobody's fooled at this point. And they're not biting, and the Bulls are stuck with Zach Levine on their team right now. So that's a very interesting thing. Those are the guys, Mike, on Clutch that are prominent. Well, what about Freddie? Isn't he on that list too? Isn't he on that list? I thought he was Clutch too. Mike's saying Koloko taking a two-way $50,000 contract over at least 1.5 mil minimum from any other team. So Mike really spelling it out. So Koloko is not doing this for the money, like Cool Cat suggested yesterday, saying we just Christian, if you're going to be healthy and you don't have a big window, you better get a big chunk as much as you can right now. Well, I'll bet you the Raptors would have gave him more than this if he had came to us. So he's obviously really kind of being dumb about this, because he's going to take a $50,000 two-way contract from the Lakers, and that's what he's going to get. Whoa, crazy. He could have got at least 1.5 million minimum from one of the other teams. So I'm telling you, in some ways, he's just following company lines with Rich Paul and LeBron, and his loyalty to Clutch may have clouded his judgment in what's best for himself. Wow, Mike. Thanks for coming in with the facts and illuminating the situation about Koloko. I was hoping you'd show up and do this, and thank you so much. Mike, we're going to give you a big 20-pointer once again, because Mike has been an all-star, guys. He really, really has. You're at 118 now, bro. You just rocketed up into the hundreds. Let's see. Monique saying W stream, W vibes. Go Raptors. Keep at it always, Lex. Good times. Good times are coming. Yeah. I love you, Mo, so much, and we're applauding you. We love you, Mo. Thanks for letting Eric Smith know we were giving him love yesterday. Trevor's saying Basketball Rewind, they had two guests on. One was out of pocket about our front office. Yeah, Basketball Rewind and Kenyon. Kenyon is a weird guy. In some ways, we like Kenyon, but Kenyon is absolutely very critical of Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri, and to a point where he's annoying. And in some ways, he's not helping the situation with some of the stuff he does on Basketball Rewind. So I don't totally promote that channel to watch. I'd much rather you watch Brian's channel or Mike's if he was still doing it, or even the Raptors Digest kids. Better than this. In some ways, Luca Rosano, another one. But yeah, Kenyon, man, in some ways, you disappoint me all the time with some of your takes. And the way you go after Masai and Bobby is unwarranted. And that's probably what they're doing right now. That's probably what they're doing. Mike's saying the reason Anthony Davis plays center is because Bron doesn't want to play point guard or small forward. He doesn't want to defend faster guys, hence why the Lakers play the way they do. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, there's all kinds of weird reasons like that. I don't know. We're gonna see. In some ways, I'm not up to date on total Laker stuff, but this makes sense what you're saying. That LeBron does not want to chase faster guys around the court because he's lazy, is what we'll say. Trevor's saying they're saying Koloko has to work hard for minutes because they want him to start. Well, they're gonna need him to start initially because they don't have enough big men. I don't know if they'll need him to start, but he'll definitely be in the rotation at the beginning of the year. So, Raptors fans, be ready to see Christian come up against us right away if he's cleared by the panel in the first week of the season. We may see Christian right away against us as the opponent. And be ready for that, Raptors fans. Be ready for that. We'll have to see. Maybe we'll get to see a Shamshe Koloko matchup right away, guys. That'd be fun. Let's see. Mike's saying no player has been waived from the Lakers yet. There's 3 possible guys they could cut. Okay, so they have 3 existing 2 ways, and one of them's got to go. One of them's got to go. Do you know the list, Mike, of the 3 players? Wayne saying mercy to all. Fiercey Tom and the great benevolent one, David. Are the Lakers admitting they're in rebuild mode with Bronny and a player like Koloko? Okay, glad to know. I think that they are on the down low, even if LeBron still hasn't retired and left. I mean, in some ways, Bron is not as powerful as he used to be that difference to carry a team. And in some ways, until they get a complete kind of thing going around there, I think in some ways on the download, they've been on a rebuild already, but everybody has such high expectations for the Lakers that they overthink this and they think this and that they're going to be so good and stuff like that when they really are more like a rebuilding team on the download without Davis and Braun on them. So, I could get behind this. I think that's right. And once again, until LeBron leaves, they really can't start truly rebuilding correctly, is what I'll say right now. Mike's saying, yeah, Fred VanVleet is with Clutch also. Yeah, that was part of him making the money grab and going to Houston. Rich Paul did a good job for Fred. He got him that 43 million a year, and that's amazing. In some ways, I don't hate on that. But also at the same time, Freddie needed to leave partly because he was Clutch still. And the fact that we lost our Clutch coach and one of our main players that was Clutch, I wasn't that upset about it in those ways. I really was. The less we have to do with Rich Paul, the better, honestly. And this can't be good for business for him. Like Masai and Bobby are in charge of one of the 30 teams. And Rich Paul and Clutch, it's not smart to have bad business if there's only 30 vendors that you can deal with. And in some ways, if you have more and more franchises in the NBA that are just kind of disenchanted in dealing with you guys, well, that's not a good thing for your clients, is what I'm going to say. And that could very well be that less people want to be Clutch because of the Braun baggage and Rich Paul kind of shit going on. So I could see that. Yeah, David's mind is blown. Yeah, have a great weekend, Wayne, for sure. We want our birthday guys to have a great weekend. And Mo's saying, hey to David. Yeah, David's awesome. Going to that DeMar DeRozan book signing on Friday. And man, David, you're awesome. Mike's saying the 3 players are unknown. I've heard the names, but they are unknowns. Yeah, they're put them in there if you got them, Mike, because I kind of know who's in the Lakers system. I kind of know. Brian saying it, Trevor, I don't mess with Basketball Rewind. He tried to screw me over and took most of my guess. Yeah, Brian used to work very closely with Kenyon, and they had a falling out, and it was a little bit ugly. And in some ways, I was in the middle of it. I was hearing from Brian's ear, somebody who I'd been talking to way longer than Kenyon, and somebody that I had trusted and been around and worked with quite extensively. And then I had Kenyon kind of bad-mouthing Brian from the other side and saying, no, you shouldn't work with To The Point and all this kind of stuff. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go with Brian, partly because when I started to set up appearing on Basketball Rewind, which I never did, guys, Kenyon was crazy with his stipulations and the way he wanted to do it. And I was like, dude, you're being too controlling. And I'm not feeling comfortable about coming on your show because in some ways, he was setting me up in certain ways that I didn't like, and I could see it. And I was like, nah, dog, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do your show. In some ways, there's some problems here. Yeah. Trevor's saying, I'm going to the Sky game so I can watch Leah Edwards. Yeah, that's awesome. You go, Trevor, and enjoy the WNBA on the last day of the WNBA season. We have a big matchup today. Kareem and I have a 1-point game going on in the bronze medal game for our fantasy Raptors Freak WNBA league. It's 359 to 358. And now I have been saddled with some key injuries today. And some of my players will not be playing that I was going to count on. But thankfully, I have other people to put in to make sure I have a full team. I'm very, very sad that Jewel Lloyd is sitting out the game today. She's been my best player all year, and that's going to hurt. And also Aaliyah Edwards of Washington is out today. She's absolutely another top player for me. So I've got to play some of my bench people and hope that that will overcome things. Now, Kareem's got a pretty good lineup too, but I do have a 1-point lead, and it's all going to be decided today. So let's see what happens here, Raptor Freaks, in the fantasy. And then, of course, in the big matchup, the matchup between David and Meredith is for the championship, but Meredith has like almost a 100-point lead on David right now. So it's looking pretty grim for David, and that silver medal will be going to David, and probably an undefeated season for Meredith, holding it down in Ottawa. Our defending WNBA champion is going to repeat, and this season he went undefeated. That is an amazing accomplishment. He did not lose a single matchup this whole entire year in our fantasy WNBA league. MK, you are a powerful man. Powerful, 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 powerful. Wow, so powerful on that. So powerful. Yeah. So yeah, get this last day of the season. Watch your WNBA while you can. They're going to be doing the playoffs soon too. David's saying, "What's up?" to Mo. I love to see it. And yeah, Project Truth always. We're all about that. Mike's moniker of Project Truth. I'm with that, man. I'm totally with that. Mo's saying doing just okay. Yeah, we've been wondering about how you've been because I'm not as attending the streams as regularly as you do, and we're always thinking about you, Mo, and send you good vibes and good positive strength and good things always to you psychically. All the Raptor Freaks to Monique, sending her good stuff. Cool Cat saying, do you think the Lakers the only team signing before NBA clearance? Koloko, his sister and family live in LA, went to school there. College Arizona was closed, so more comfy close to home given health issues. Maybe that was some part of the factors and some areas. I think the biggest factor is clutch. Cool Cat. And in some ways, I hate to say it, LeBron really does telegraph a lot of things. And I think that he was telegraphing we need to get Christian on the Lakers somehow, some way, even last year. And even when we had complete rights to him still, that there was some sort of weirdness. In some ways, I don't want to say his injury and his problem is a made up thing. But in some ways, I don't trust this kind of shit too, especially the NBA. I don't put anything past them. So Mike's saying the Rockets put out a Fred VanVleet video, and I took a look. He's framed as the experienced team leader. They respect his journey and the things he did in Toronto. Yeah, I'm very proud of Fred. I love that he's getting a lot of respect from Rockets Nation. I still am very mad at the anti-Fred VanVleet people here in Toronto, and the way they treated him before he left was absolutely asinine and wrong. And in some ways, they weren't basketball people that understood basketball the way they talked about Fred his last season as a Raptor. So I'm glad he's getting his just due, and we're seeing the Fred VanVleet effect on the Rockets and bringing them up from a 300 level team to a 500 level team just in his first year last year. And all those young Rockets are taken to him as a leader, and he is, don't get it twisted, he is the leader on that team. And Ime Udoka wanted him over James Harden. We have to remember that also. Mike's saying, I was watching DeMar's book interviews too. A lot of good stuff. Yeah, you know what DeMar actually said? And this made me, oh my gosh. He actually said he would come back to Toronto. He said that in the last 2 days. He said that it would be really kind of poetic and full circle if I did come back and play for the Raptors again. And he did not have the stipulation that Kyle has to be there either. So the door open for DeMar possibly being a Raptor again is actually open. I did not think it was because I just assumed. But DeMar said that it would be a very beautiful, poetic bookends, like, to his career. If he comes back to where he started and he comes and plays for Toronto again before he's done. He's not even just saying like what Kyle said. Kyle said, I'll come back to Toronto, sign for a one-day contract, and retire as a Raptor. He said he'd do that for sure. But he's actually saying he will actually come and play games and do a season with us if it turns to that point near the end of his career. So that blew me away. And it shows just how much DeMar's healed and gotten past some of the stuff that happened with his exit when he got traded to San Antonio, and that he's healed so much. And that he's at that point where he really loves Toronto still, and he could see himself playing for us again. That really was blowing me away when I heard that in the last couple of days. That he did say that, guys. He said that he would come and play for us again. The door is open once again. Oh, man, that's so amazing to me, man. That's so amazing to me. Trevor's saying, oh, my goodness, I'm not going to see Edwards play. Yeah, on the Wizard, there's a couple of Edwards. I just got to tell you that there's the Edwards that I have is the one on the Mystics, is the one on the Washington team. Just so you know, isn't there a couple of Edwards? Because I have Aaliyah Edwards, Washington, and the game's in Atlanta. The game the game's in Washington. The game I'm talking about. You may be talking about Aaliyah Boston, right? Or somebody. Who are you talking about? Are we talking about the same player? Because in some ways I get confused sometimes, Trevor. So are you in Atlanta or are you in Washington? Where are you? I thought you were in LA or something. I don't know where you are. Where the hell is Trevor? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Mike's also saying, Cool Cat, I'm thinking maybe the Raptors wanted to wait, but I don't know. I think that they washed their hands of them. The tell is when Masai said, go ahead and say Christian's among my mistakes. He said that. He said that. He said that when he said that at the end of the year. He said, I have 3 mistakes as the president of the Raptors: Bruno Caboclo, Malachi Flynn, and Christian Coloco. I'll go ahead and admit to my 3 mistakes, and those are them. Well, when he said the mistake about Coloco, I was saying, well, that sounds like you don't expect him to come back ever or not to us. So I think that that's a tell right there that Masai knew that Christian wasn't going to come back to us, even if we kind of postured and looked like the possibility was there this whole summer and him talking to him. I think that's what that says about that. That in some ways, Bobby and Masai gave a tell that Christian wasn't going to come back. And that's part of the reason why Doug Smith got so angry last weekend about debunking the Christian Coloco return. Stop asking me about Coloco. He's not coming back. God damn it. All right. Yeah. So I don't think so. I think that they understood that there's nothing they could do and this is going to happen. They were letting him go. And part of the reason why we jumped on Bruno Fernando this summer is because they knew this. They knew this. And drafting Shamshay, that's another one right there. That's another one right there. Trevor's saying the WNBA playoffs start September the 22nd. Y'all be ready. Y'all be ready. Cool Cat saying, my heart is full seeing the leadership both Fred and Siakam exhibit on their new teams. Raptors championship alumni making me proud. There you go, Cool Cat. I love that too. I love that too. And Mike's saying DeMar is comfortable with what he built here. He loves the fact we became a winning culture. And he said that there's a moment with the Raptors team and the chip and DeMar celebrating the title with DeMar. You know, in some ways, he said also he hated it when they won. And it took him a little while to get used to it and not being mad at the Raptors winning. But also at the same time, he was very happy for the individuals, obviously. Kyle Lowry winning a championship here was a huge thing. And he loved that for him and Norman and his other friends on the team still, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam. And it's tough. It's a tough thing because in some ways he could be selfish and be ego-driven and think that should have been me. That should have been me. And be very sullen and be like very angry about it. But that was a natural emotion in him. But he saw it. He recognized it. He took himself out of it. And he could see it for himself. And he mastered it. In some ways, one of the biggest stories about DeMar DeRozan is mastering his anger. He had a lot of anger when he was a young player. I've talked about this recently. When he showed up on the Raptors, he was always scowling. He was pissy. He did not do well in interviews. He was kind of very standoffish and angry. And the journey he's gone through, the self-transformation, the self-reflection, the understanding of himself, the going through his mental inventory and his experience in life and cleaning it out to get to the point where he's at and healthy and vibrant and happy as a confident family man is a true testament story of success that everybody should look to. And that's why this book's really important and amazing, Above the Noise. And I'm really excited about reading it when I finally do. And I will do a book report on it on a Sunday. We'll have a Sunday special book report where I cover the Above the Noise book. But I've read excerpts of it recently. And I'm blown away by the really introspective realness of DeMar and being serious and real about fixing his mental issues as far as his anger. And why did he have such blind anger when he was a youngster and he came as a rookie to Toronto? Why? Because he lived in a war zone and he saw people he loved die and he saw craziness. And he had chaos. And that's not an easy thing to get past when you're a child, and it's confusing. And it's a part of your formation as a person. And well, he went back with a very intelligent. This is the other thing. DeMar is a very, very smart person and very sensitive person. And that's part of it right there. And he did the hard work inside to get to the point where he is. And it's an amazing story. It's an amazing, amazing story. I love it so much. I really, really do. Mike's saying everyone called DeMar after winning. They should have, and they did. And because in some ways he's part of the family, and he was, like I said, he was one of those people. He may not have dunked the ball, but he threw the lob to the team to dunk it through to get it. That's right. That's right. Fred and Pascal. That's right. Bravo. Bravo. That's right. Mike is saying he talks about the early days too. He said he didn't talk to Lowry for a year. I know they weren't even friends the first year they played together. He didn't like him at first. he said he didn't like him. He said he had an attitude, and he was like, "Who is this guy? He's an asshole." But then he understood how Kyle worked, and in some ways, it was because Kyle made that transformation. Remember when he was like, he kind of fucked up his beginning of the Raptors with Casey and different things, and Casey was mad at Kyle. And in some ways, Kyle, if he hadn't gotten his butt in gear, he was going to get shipped out of here, and none of this shit would have happened with him. But he listened. And he made a transformation. In some ways, both DeMar and Kyle matured as young men here in different ways. It was like DeMar had to deal with his demons from his past, and Kyle had to deal with his attitude and being so arrogant and kind of being like a jerk. And, well, he got a handle on it, and he used the good positive aspects of being a jerk. And in some ways, DeMar from the outside saw Kyle's transformation, and it made him respect him more. And that's how they became birds of a feather, tight together, totally best friends to this point. Is in some ways he saw the way Kyle worked, and they had the same goals, and then all of a sudden they were best friends. And that was a really cool part of it. Mo's telling me to go rest. All right, I will very, very soon, Mo. I know I've been going over 2 hours a lot recently, and I do need to tighten up my time. And I appreciate you. Part of it's because you haven't been here, and I've been like, where's my cutoff? Most needs to cut me off. Cool Cat saying the only thing I miss hearing about OG, especially because he's not a social media person, is him being private. But being a Raptors, he had unique access. Damn, miss his sense of humor. His sense of humor, yeah. Yeah, OG's awesome. We love OG. Trevor's saying, I made a mistake. I thought it was this guy in Washington. I'm getting my ticket today. I don't know what's playing. My bad. Who are you? Where are you? Are you in Chicago? Where are you, Trevor? Where are you, Trevor? Then I can tell you where you're at. You at the Chicago game? Where are they playing? I don't even know. I don't even see. You're watching the Chicago Sky. Isn't there I don't know. I can't even look at it right now. In some ways, I'm out of time anyway, Trevor. You figure out whatever team you're going to see and what players, and you can tell us about it tomorrow. How about that? All right, y'all. Once again, I watched Clipped yesterday. It was a fantastic series. I highly recommend it. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Lawrence Fishburne is one of the greatest actors of his generation, and he proved it by becoming Doc Rivers and making us forget he's Lawrence Fishburne. Al Bundy as Donald Sterling is a weird casting, but it works. And I thought that everybody did great. Cleopatra as V. Striviano was fantastic. And it's also very interesting to see the players and who played them. In some ways, y'all will laugh about that kind of stuff, knowing Chris Paul and how he is. And also the people like DeAndre Jordan. And like I said, the guy who played Jamal Crawford was right on point. I was like, this is actually how Jamal Crawford's energy is and how he acted on it. So very much highly recommended. It's a telltale story about the evils of racism in our society and how it's been persistent and how the battle is not yet won and how we need to continue to go at the institutionalized racism in our society. And it really does tackle the whole idea of an NBA owner and how the players feel underneath them. So highly recommend Clipped. It's a very serious series, and it does a very good job of showing everything, guys. I will say that right now. Here, real quick, Leo's life tip for today. Another day, another blessing, another chance at life. Thank you, Mr. Routens, the kid from Kiel, for your Leo life tips. As I said, Melvin Ejim and Yuna Kaja have won the FIBA Intercontinental Cup today and beating the G League United team. And Melvin Ejim adding another accolade to his resume. A happy birthday today to assistant coach of the Raptors from back in the day, Mark Ivaroni. Mark Ivaroni played for the Utah Jazz and also for the Lakers in the past, but he was an assistant coach for the Raptors at one point. So we're saying happy birthday to him. And also, guys, happy birthday to my guy, Dennis. It's Dennis Schroeder's birthday, guys, today. So we're going to say happy birthday to the German MVP, the German world champion, Dennis Schroeder. He is now 31 years old today, guys. So happy birthday to Dennis Schroeder. Man, one of my favorite Raptors in some ways this past year. And in some ways, Dennis, I just wish you the best of things. And you and your family. I really enjoyed last year getting to know your family and you through social media and your time on the Raptors. And only good things for you, my guy, from me. I have nothing against you, Dennis Schroeder. And thank you for coming and being a Raptor as a part of your career. In some ways, it was a short chapter, but it's a chapter that's memorable to you and your family, I'm sure. And it's something that in some ways you'll look back fondly on. And you know what? Listen, I'm going to be one of those Raptors fans that will cheer you in the future as alumni. If you ever do choose to come back and get your ovation from us, I'll be one of those people clapping for you, my guy. So happy birthday, Dennis. We love you, even if you're a net at this point. It doesn't matter. You're still a cool guy. All right, there you go. There's all our stream today. Thanks for watching the Raptor Freak today. I'll be back tomorrow for a Monday moment or memory. I'm not totally sure. We'll figure out what the thing is. And, of course, Tuesday trivia on Tuesday, the regular off-season schedule, still in effect until we get to that day. Hey, Andrew, where's my countdown? Are we at 21 days until the Bell Center and Montreal and the Raptors versus the Washington Wizards and Jonas Valanciunas? Well, I think that's right. 21 days is the countdown. I did not see that today. So there we go. Trevor saying, I'm still in Chicago. Sky have a home game today. I don't have any Sky players on my team, so I can't see who they're playing. So you're not playing against one of my guys. So my Edwards is not the one that's going to be missing for you. My Edwards is the player on Washington, Aaliyah Edwards. So, yeah, I don't know who you're playing. I don't know who Chicago's playing. I don't have any players on my team. Let me see. Does Kareem have anybody on his team that's from Chicago? Let me just see. And that'll tell me what's up. Okay, you're going to see the Phoenix Mercury. They're going to be playing the Chicago Sky today. So you're going to see Phoenix Mercury, Brittany Griner, and Diana Taurasi. So that's who you're seeing, Trevor. It's the Mercury versus the Sky in Chicago today, okay? So that's who you're seeing. Phoenix. You're seeing Phoenix. All right, y'all. Let's go, Raptors. And watch Clipped, y'all. It's great. And, Christian, I'm disappointed in you. You made your lot. Now you got to sit in it, and now you got to see what happens. In some ways, I feel for you, my guy. I feel for you, Christian, in this decision you made yesterday. Maybe you listened to Rich Paul a little bit too much on this one. All right, guys, let's go. And I'll see y'all in about 24 hours. Let's go.